music, but not giving up D.D. Richards.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
He has had an incredible season, and boy, can they knock down threes. Teague does it again.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Meyer down low on a great through from Mitchell.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Meyer grazed the hustler from the corner. That was vital, keeping it alive.
Again, are you serious?
Takes advantage.
Come on, he's my Mr. Glue guy.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this blustery Wednesday afternoon. SicEm365 Radio, March the 17th. How many days after Craig Smoak's birthday?
It's the day after the day after.
The day after the day after, and 363 days until the next one. Armstrong Sims running the mothership. The wind is howling. News in high school athletics as well. Also, of course, both Baylor and the Lady Bears doing their thing in Indianapolis and also in San Antonio. We'll hear from backup point guard and freshman Sarah Andrews for the Lady Bears at 4:15. Grant McCaslin from North Texas. He'll join us, former Baylor assistant coach Dick Weiss at 3:30. Tony Barnhart, one of the great analysts and writers in college football at 4 o'clock today, among others, including former Mejia Black Cat, SMU star Kelvin Beachum, signed a new deal with Arizona at 4:30. Then John Machota and Jason King, and here we go. So Mark Bell, this is news that we just got a minute ago. He confirmed it with me. He retired 3 years ago as the football coach, AD football coach. Brian took over as football coach. Mark Bell is now retiring effective June 30th, the end of the school year. As the AD, they'll have an AD replacement only. It will not be a combo job like it hasn't been for the last 3 years. Also today, Buffalo's Brandon Houston, Buffalo High School, had a hell of a year. Remember, the quarterback was really good, Hoffman. He's taking the job at Taylor. And one sad note in that is statewide high school football. Homer Johnson named the stadium after him in Garland. According to Matt Stepp, he passed away this morning at the age of 93. His name, one of the great legendary names in Texas high school football. Did a La Vega Carthage game and did many games when I was broadcasting out of East Texas from Homer B. Johnson Stadium. Now, here is a quote from a Big 12 coach. This was earlier today. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina. You guys respond to it because some of this stuff makes sense. I put this in a text form to Armstrong. What people are saying about Baylor, are they still title-winning good? They were a complete machine, one Big 12 coach said. Now they're not guarding. They had a chance to go undefeated. They came back, stunk it up against Iowa State, but win late. They thought that got their attention. Then they go to Kansas, thought they were going to show up. Kansas got them. The pause hurts you in so many ways. Your rhythm is completely shot. They didn't have that look where they were throwing the ball before that. They know where everyone was going to be. Defensively, they were absolutely smothering people. It was miserable to play against. They lost some competitive edge. I don't disagree with a lot of that. That doesn't mean they still do, because we'll find out. But I think that a lot of that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that tracks, and we'll see how this week of practice changes as they get into the tournament. But yeah, that's true. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with anything he had to say there. I mean, we've, like you said, talked about it for like 2 weeks, and yeah, I mean, that's what I think everybody at this point has said in some form or fashion or another. All
right, Armstrong, do we have the other one ready as well? Here's another one. Those three guards are so damn good, so tough to deal with. Let them do what they do. Shut off the other guys. An opposing coach said, if Matt Meyer doesn't play well, they're not going to go far. If those three guards are rolling and Matt's running around and dunking on people and playing like a 6'9" guard, you can call it a night.
Well, yeah. I mean, they certainly were different against Kansas State and Oklahoma State without much offensive contribution from him. So, yeah, he needs to be that fourth scoring option for them, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, like it says, it seems pretty obvious that, that's their formula. And who has not been playing well lately? Matthew Meyer. Who has not been playing well lately? Baylor. So, yeah, I think that obviously makes a lot of sense as well.
And Jason King will join us at 5:30. And coaches have said this. Even others have mentioned this as well. Even Matthew Meyer, if you could talk to him, he would admit it as well. And then this one here, this is about their size, length inside. Flo isn't very big. Jonathan is even smaller than him. Mark Vital is even smaller than him. One coach said a big kid in Kansas State just had a field day with him. Flo couldn't handle him. Jonathan couldn't handle him. And Kofi, speaking about Kofi Cockburn from Illinois, is a whole different animal. He's mean, he's big, he's a scorer, and he's older. That's why I worry about them the most. That's a quote. Now, that all makes sense, but Baylor beat Illinois, and Cockburn had 7 points and 4 rebounds, only played 18 minutes. We know he's a dude, along with Asumu, but everything made sense there. They've never thought of themselves as big inside, but they used to have, it appeared to be Jonathan Tchamwa playing bigger than he actually is because of his athleticism, and we haven't seen much of that either.
No, we haven't seen the baseline to baseline like he's running gassers the whole game, Jonathan Tchamwa since he came back from COVID, and that's not surprising. Look, anybody who's had COVID will tell you that the energy is the last thing to come back. I don't think we need to look very far in this room to know that, and Craig said it on the show just because Everyday John's a big-time athlete and other people aren't doesn't mean he doesn't have the same response to the same sickness.
Yeah, I mean, I said a couple of days ago that, I gave the team a lot of credit for those who had the virus, which basically I guess was about everybody. And it's different for everybody. Like, I never really lost my taste of I didn't lose my sense of taste. I know Grayson, did though. Some other people do, but I had chills and fever, and some people don't have that. They instead have like a bad cough, or it's truly different for everybody. Although there, some similarities there. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple guys, as rampant as it was, are having a little bit of a harder time getting back. Now they are tip-top athletes, but if it's one of those symptoms where it's affecting your breathing a little bit or whatever, then yeah, that's going to have a massive impact on how you play. But I mean, it has been a couple weeks. You think they'd start to kind of knock those cobwebs off as best they can right now. But yeah, Tchamwa has not even really been worth mentioning all that much here as of late. And he was a guy that you talked about providing that big energy and the, fast-paced, running up and down like you were saying and all that. And I haven't heard anybody comment on that or bring that up in any form or fashion in like 3 weeks now. So yeah, that's a piece that's missing as well right at the moment.
Yeah, there's too many balls that are missed, offensive or defensive boards. There's too many balls that come off the rim that he would get a lot of them. He wouldn't get 15 rebounds in a game. He doesn't play that much to get it, but he would get 6 to 8 or 5 in a clutch moment. And there's too many balls that are up there that there's nobody else. There's nobody there. Thamba, God bless Flo Thamba, he's not going to physically beat anybody down, and he's still very tall. He does have struggles with sometimes his hands, but Tchamwa, he was actually grabbing him and going with him, and it got him going. He's kind of like a Dennis Rodman, not trying to compare him to Rodman, but with the way he plays and his athleticism and his body as well. So those are some things. None of that is breaking news. None of that is like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And unless you're just digging your head in the sand, everything that was said other than the Cockburn part, who could beat them up if they play again, which if they do, they're in the Final Four, is true because they held Cockburn to 7 points and 4 rebounds in the first meeting.
Yeah, Illinois, of all the teams you've played this year, that's not the one I'd want to see again.
They are where Baylor, I thought after they beat the hell out of Texas Tech, was back to close to where they used to be. Illinois has improved. They haven't won everything, but they have been on a great run, which is kind of a Brad Underwood trait as well. He did that when he was with SFA. I'm not sure he did it enough with Oklahoma State, obviously. He was there 1 year, but he seems to, that's what you want to be, a team that's playing your best as you get to the tournament, and they absolutely seem to be doing that, and in a great conference as well. Now, Cowboys have cut punter Chris Jones.
Yep, they had Hunter Nicewander last year who stepped in after Chris Jones got injured, and Hunter was really good, and Chris Jones costs more money, and look, you got to get, as much salary cap room as you can, and not really a surprising move, but he'd been there since 2011. That's a long time for a Cowboys punter.
So, and that's not going to save him a lot of money, but it's kind of like when they got rid of the long snapper in Ladouceur. Also, Trent Williams from Longview, Texas, $138 million deal. Now, a lot of this money is probably never going to get to him, but he's got like $50-60 million in guaranteed money. Trent Williams, $138.06 million deal, highest paid offensive lineman in history. I'm happy for him. He was with Washington, toxic environment, didn't get along with the team doctors. We've heard that before. He got a big deal, and so did Kelvin Beachum. He got a couple-year deal with Arizona, nothing in the Trent Williams neighborhood. Trent Williams, I wondered if he would play anymore. Had a really nice year with San Francisco. Craig remembers him as well. He is just a dude.
Yeah, he's probably the best Redskin in the last 15 years, and I know he's not a member of the Washington football team anymore, but he was. And if you look back on, if the Redskins were to award a 20-year, who's the best player in the last 20 years, it's probably Trent Williams. Like, if you think about it. And they somehow managed to completely ruin that relationship. I've still never heard a proper explanation for what actually happened there, because either Trent Williams was lying to get out of Washington, which is entirely possible because athletes do that all the time, or embellished a little bit on what was actually going on, or they have a completely incompetent medical staff, right? Like, there's only two options, is either he's embellishing or they are as incompetent as he was saying they were. And regardless, it was just a bad look. Now, I know they've all moved on and gone their separate ways, so he seems to have found a nice home there in San Francisco. I'm a bit surprised for him to be getting that kind of money at this stage in his career, but, obviously he's still very, very good. So, the Washington loss was certainly San Francisco's gain.
Yeah, something about he had skin cancer on his head.
Yeah, he had a cancer bump, and it was a whole thing.
And they didn't treat it the right way, and then they tried to force him back, and his helmet was just hurting him, and they didn't listen to him, and then, it was
a bizarre story. Yeah. It really was. I mean, just for the simple fact that if somebody's got something like that, with the medical care that they have, like, for them to not treat it, I just never understood, like, why they wouldn't go about, he's the best player on your team, he might have cancer, and you're not going to do anything about it. Like, I don't understand that.
All right, a couple more things, and Grant McCaslin will join us from North Texas. David McCormack, will and DB in Indianapolis for Kansas. Arrives on Friday, be in uniform when they play Eastern Washington. Obviously, he's only had a little bit of practice, if any at all, maybe conditioning. Jalen Wilson will arrive later on and could be available if they win on Saturday to be available for Kansas's game on Monday. Onaruna is out. He will not come back. He's the one that tested positive. Sherry Cole has retired after 25 years at Oklahoma, had an elite program. And eventually, of course, Baylor ended that, along with a couple of others. 25 years at Oklahoma. She had was it the Paris twins that were so good, that were amazing, almost won the national title with them. But she's out. She retires after 25 years.
Problem is, that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know it was.
The Paris twins.
You're exactly right.
I can't name a single player they've had since then. So, I mean, that's part of the issue. And Kim Mulkey's part of the issue, and, others to more limited extents. But, yeah, I mean, that program was on top of the conference, or right there neck and neck with Baylor, and it hasn't been for a very long time.
Nalissa Smith named AP All-American first team. Unfortunately,
so they watched the games.
Yeah, they watched the games.
Unlike Sports Illustrated.
All right, we're now joined by Grant McCaslin, the head basketball coach at North Texas, former Baylor assistant coach, and he joins us because the Mean Green are dancing as well in Indianapolis. Paul Mills and Oral Roberts, Scott Drew and Baylor. Even Bryce Drew was there with Grand Canyon. First of all, Grant, great to hear from you. Great to have you on the show. What does it mean to have that Baylor? First of all, I know what it means for North Texas, but just the fact that so many Baylor connections are in Indianapolis this week.
Smokey, what's up, brother? Great to be with y'all. No, man, what a treat. Man, what a blessing. It's wild. You work so hard just every day to try to make a difference, and that's the thing I think you love about all this, honestly, is that Coach Drew's heart behind it has always been bigger than basketball and bigger than winning games. Like, he's the best connector, and God's given him a heart and a mission and a purpose, and it's never been about wins, even though the result is. And I think we've all, found that that's really what we ought to be doing anyways. And now for all of us to be here at the same time really is a tribute to, who he is and what he's helped us become in the process.
Grant, when you came back to the Baylor staff, you were going to be a head coach at a different school, and then you decided to join the Baylor staff. How much did this help you get ready for the North Texas job?
Oh man, unbelievably. I've been a junior college head coach, been a Division II head coach, but I don't want to say circus, but the high major level has a different attention, and the interest of people really takes, a lot of wisdom and purpose every day and hard work in order to try to put it all in the best position. And being able to watch, coach, and be with him every day. I mean, two things jump out at you. One, he's got zero ego, and it's not about him. I mean, never has been, never will be. He doesn't want the attention, and he works the hardest of anybody on the staff. And that says a lot, because Jerome Tang, Paul Mills, Timmy Maloney, Jared Nunes, Charlie Mel, those guys work their tails off. But Coach Drew is just a unique, nonstop guy. So how hard you have to work, what you have to do on a daily basis as Coach does, and how he just did it selflessly, taught me more than I can ever repay him, and really is gave us the blueprint. I think gave us all the blueprint on how to be successful with a Division I program.
Coach, what was that like? I know you guys, won the regular season title last year in Conference USA, but go get that 61-57 overtime win, a few days ago to win the tournament. Just the feeling, you've been building this 20-win season, regular season title. But what's the feeling like right now at North Texas and within the program?
Yeah, the first meeting I had on the campus of North Texas, there was just a few guys in it that were still interested in being a part of the program when we took over, and one of them fell asleep, and I told them that I wanted them to laugh at us for our goals, because we want to play for a national championship at North Texas. So apparently it wasn't that interesting, but the fight that it takes in order to put yourself in position, as it's nonstop, right? And it takes so many people. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what everybody has that common purpose of doing. And honestly, when you do it and it finally happens as a group, man, just so many things flood into your mind and your heart. Remembering those first practices in the Ernie Key practice facility where we're doing rebounding in June. Just trying to instill the grit, and guys like DJ Draper, who was there in that first meeting, who was a walk-on, who we ultimately gave a scholarship to, who was a huge part of that conference championship, who didn't get to go to the NCAA tournament, but was on the front row when we won the conference championship, when everybody ran over there the other day to celebrate with the fans. And he's coming up for the game and texting me in his dancing shoes. It's things like that honestly that you're so grateful that you had all these people that you journeyed with that helped build it to get to this point, and that they can enjoy it also.
That when Baylor won the NIT, there was a stretch there where they made the tournament and they had some Elite Eights, some Sweet 16s. There were some disappointments along the way, but then they won the NIT, and then eventually here's now Scott in this tremendous run. How much did it help when North Texas won the CBI to maybe launch a little postseason swagger, so to speak, to what you can do now?
Yeah, it was everything, honestly. I mean, it just kind of gave the confidence to our program and the people around our program that we're capable of doing things that maybe hadn't been done here before. And it's huge. I mean, like, the story honestly is the day of shoot around that we played at South Dakota, which we were like huge underdogs in the game on the road. They hadn't even lost that many home games in the whole time. And Craig, who's at Utah State, who were also in the tournament, was the head coach there at the time before he'd gone there. And we were playing them. They had a senior-laden team that was disappointed they didn't make the tournament. And we won the game. We switched a guy from being a left-handed three-point shooter to a right-handed three-point shooter and shoot-around. So, I mean, there was all kind of crazy stuff happening in that tournament. And for that to kind of turn in our first season and give everyone hope that we could do it was a big deal and a launch pad for winning.
Grant McCaslin, head basketball coach at North Texas, the Mean Green, in the tournament this week. And again on SicEm365 Radio.
How much does in the tournament having to get 4 wins help you? Like they have that mindset of you had to win 4 games. Sometimes teams only have to win 3 to win a conference title.
Hey, doesn't Coach Drew know that I'm on with you guys? I mean, he's trying to call me while we're on the phone. It's a big deal, right? I mean, you find ways to win. You find ways to win, and you find different ways to win, and different guys step up, and you get to play a lot of games. And we had actually lost an all-freshman team player just prior to making the tournament, so that was a big hit for our team. But it gave us the ability to really fine-tune a smaller rotation, which helps in tournament play, to be able to really gain confidence in how you want to score. But we didn't score always, and we found ways to win with defense. So I think the biggest thing it's taught us is how do you win different ways, and that we're capable of it, and don't ever get panicked whether you get up too big, which is what we did, got up by 17 in the championship game, or you get down 7, which we did in that last 2 minutes. You just stay the course and keep believing in each other and do all the things we all coaches talk about, keep fighting and do what prepared you to get there.
Coach, obviously you guys have already experienced a little bit of postseason success, but now it's the tournament. Is there any sort of different message? Is there any sort of different pointers that you give to the guys this week in preparation? Does it change at all, or does everything remain exactly the same?
No, at this point there's a different level. This group of seniors are together, right? I mean, they've played a lot of basketball together. Our 4 starters are all returnees from a year, that team that won the conference championship last year, plus a couple of guys on the bench, and we have 1 starter that's new to our program this year. But they know what we've been doing and what we got to do in order to win in a game like this. We've been on the road. We played at Loyola. We played at at West Virginia. We played at Mississippi State. We played at Arkansas. So we played those games so that when we got to this moment, our guys wouldn't have any, false hopes. We know what the fight is, and our guys are excited about trying to build on what we've done, and we're not going to do anything new.
Is the NCAA at times, and I'm not meaning, they can be evil, and everyone can insert for whatever they want. I'm not asking you to, but I mentioned the coaching tree and the connections to Baylor, and now Paul Mills, Oral Roberts, North Texas, Grant McCaslin, Scott Drew, and Baylor are in the same region. Is that just kind of for kicks?
Oh, man. I'm not smart enough to figure that out, Smokey. I'll tell you what I do know, man, is we are in the South, so that makes sense. And we'll just try to leave it at that, man.
Well, I did notice that. I was like, wait a minute, they're all 3 in the same region. What do you know about Purdue? I know they're pretty salty.
Yeah, no, I mean, Matt Painter has been a friend of mine for a long time. He recruited our point guard, and he signed a big guy when I coached in junior college. We actually, when I was head coach at Midwestern State, we went up there and played them in an exhibition game, got a tail beat. So I'm very keen on the fact they got one of the best defenses and the best offenses in the country. Ken Palm has their forward as a top 7 player in the country. They got great size. They got a point guard that's a freshman who Robbie Hummel says may be the most talented player ever to play for Painter. So look, man, they've won, 5 of 6 or whatever it was to finish the Big Ten. They're one of the hottest teams in the country, and it'll take everything we got in order to find a way to win this one.
You have been successful everywhere you've been. Midland College, you guys had the great run. I thought I saw a note. Was Alvin Brooks on that same staff with you?
He was. He won a national championship the year before, and I begged him to come join me. And I'd worked with his dad. Alvin Brooks is the 3rd, AB3, and his dad, Alvin Brooks, the 2nd or junior, was an assistant when I was the director of basketball operations at Texas Tech right after playing at Baylor. So we were close, and then I begged little Al to come with us to Midland, which is where he played junior college basketball. And so just kind of a fit. And it was because of him that we won the national championship in 2007. So a lot of a lot of family ties there all together.
What is it like, and I know you got to go, Grant McCaslin of North Texas, what is it like to be in the bubble? What's it like these first few days?
You know what? For us, we're grateful. You know, I mean, the quarantine time, the only thing I'll tell you that was tough about that, we got here, we tested, and we had to be in our rooms during Selection Sunday. And you know what a cool time that is. Mm-hmm. Usually you're at your facility or you're at the restaurant, and everybody's enjoying it. It was just a little tough because we were all in our rooms and we were kind of in the hall yelling at each other. But other than that, man, it's kind of a neat feel because everybody's in the hotels and you're seeing everybody, and usually you have your families with you. That's the only difficult part. And I'm blessed to be a part of all those times that we got to go with Coach Drew at Baylor. And he always was so grateful to allow our families, gracious to allow our families to go. That part's difficult. Not having family around, it's really important. But, man, it's awesome. They've done a good job. We've got everything we need. And the fact that we actually get to play the tournament after what we all experienced last year, we consider it a blessing. We really do, man. We're grateful.
I know you well enough. I always appreciate it. Anytime we had a chance to visit, enjoy the journey. I know you will. Congratulations. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sic'em and go Mean Green.
That's right. That's Grant McCaslin, head basketball coach at North Texas. They have been to the NCAA tournament in their history 3 times. 3 times. In 1988, lost to North Carolina. 2007, lost to Memphis. And in 2010, lost to Kansas State. So now 4 with 2000 and 2021.
I think he's going to have them contending as long as he's there. He's always in a really good, solid basketball mind, and to take the jump he did, because he had just kind of changed jobs like a year before he came to Baylor. To take the jump he did, because sometimes you go, well, I'm a head coach now, then I'll make the next jump. But to be on the staff and learn what he did from Coach Drew, and of course he's Scott also is. If he was not in basketball, you could put him in human resources. He'd be perfect at that. Like, okay, here's where you need to be in this department, and this you work with these people. And he's almost an impeccable record of not only hiring but recruiting, and people just fit.
When he was at Midland College, they won the national championship. And I'm telling you right now, I covered National Junior College Athletic Association for 30 years. It is a beast to get to that thing and to win it. They did. In Midland, and that Region 5, of course, it includes as well McLennan, Hill, and Temple, is a monster. Then when he was at Midwestern, they went to the Elite Eight twice in the NCAA Division II tournament. Then, of course, had 1 year at Arkansas State and then took the job at North Texas. In between that, of course, he was on the staff with Scott Drew at Baylor when they had a nice run as well. His 4th year at North Texas, 78-50. And, again, won the title last year, as you mentioned, in the regular season. Postseason canceled, so they might have been able to get there last year. All right, when we come back, Dick Weiss, he's a Hall of Fame basketball writer. We've had him on a couple of different times about Baylor, and now we get to talk to him about the tournament. Baylor's opening round game against Hartford and more, and also his thoughts. Oklahoma has announced that Davion Harmon, he tested positive, remained back home in Norman, so he is not with the Sooners in Indianapolis. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, a hidden gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. You've heard me talking about that drive-through window and how great they do with that. I mean, it's fast. It is absolutely ridiculously fast, especially for somebody has to go and find and pull something off a shelf. They're fast. It's unbelievable. Their knowledge is great. When it comes to anything that you need, they know what to recommend. They know, if they have it, if they don't, when it came in, when it's going to come back, if they are ever out of something, which is pretty rare. And if you're a craft beer fan, they've got a selection that'll knock your socks off. Walk into that beautiful walk-in fridge, rotated seasonally. It's springtime, so I'm sure there's a lot of new craft beers out if you haven't been to check it out. And get your new, kind of craft beer on there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Qualified buyer, see dealer for details. The anniversary sales event is happening now at Richard Carr. 22 years in Central Texas is worth celebrating with big savings on all cars and trucks. Savings like $3,500 off a 2021 Buick Envision or Buick Encore GX. Save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave. Save $6,500 off a 2021 GMC Train or GMC Acadia. Come by for prize giveaways and deep anniversary discounts on every car or truck on the lot. It's the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, we'll hear from Dick Weiss in just a moment. As I may have heard right before we went to the break, we knew about David McCormack. He will be in Indianapolis for Kansas. And also Jalen Wilson for KU will be there if they do play on Monday. But Oklahoma, Davion Harmon is out, tested positive. He is still in Norman. And that, for the most part, it's been very, very low number as we are starting to get a few coaches talking about their teams. Yesterday evening, I was able to get David Kay. In fact, they just popped it up about being clear to get out of the quarantine, as Mac Rhodes was telling us, to go and do what they could do at their various places. They could meet, practice, whatever. And Baylor was able to do that yesterday evening. It seems like almost everybody, other than a handful of teams, a small handful, have been able to do that. Dick Weiss, Hall of Fame college basketball writer. He's been with us before on this show, SicEm365 Radio. Dick, thank you very much for your time. What do you think is the biggest story this first weekend of the tournament?
I think that the fact that we're actually having a tournament, that there are 68 teams that have obviously cleared medical protocol, and hopefully most of the players will play. I mean, I don't know that anybody thought we'd reach this point right now. As far as, I think that when the tournament starts, the emphasis is always going to be on the number 1 seed. Can they advance? Is there going to be an upset? There's an awful lot of people think there's going to be a lot of chalk in this Final Four. I'd like to make sure that that happens.
Do you think that there's any particular number one seed's path that is wrought with peril?
I think Michigan could have a problem. Oklahoma State's difficult. Alabama's difficult, and Michigan's playing without Isaiah Livers. You know, I think the fact that Baylor may have to play some teams with size, Carolina, Purdue, and Ohio State, it's not an easy road to get to a Final Four for them. I mean, look, if they shoot threes the way they shot the day that the one kid had 10, that's fine. But if they're 4 for 21, the way they were late in the Oklahoma State game, anything can happen. I mean, you know, you are highly dependent on playing consistently well for 4 games. And I think the biggest problem, guys, that we're going to have is the mental toughness of the kids involved, because basically they're going to be prisoners in their own room for most of the time. It's not like they can go anywhere else. It's not like they can visit the lobby. It's not like they can visit their friends. They can go as a group as long as they're accompanied by security to team meetings, to team meals. But for the most part, they're going to be locked in their room because I think they want to create as much of a bubble as they can in the circumstances.
Dick, you mentioned Baylor and you know, shooting the three ball. That's not been their thing here as of late. They've had some problems down low. I mean, they're not as sharp, but they're still plenty good. What have been your thoughts on Baylor?
Look, anytime you get three guards like that, you have a chance, particularly since they're so good defensively. They have 2 players in this team who can take you out if they're in the lineup. I mean, obviously Vital's one of them, and Mitchell's probably the other. They also have guys like Butler who have the ability to make big plays in the last 4 minutes. I mean, and frankly, I think Scott's done a terrific job with this team. I think a lot of people want to look at their last few games. They look at the loss to Kansas. They look at the loss to Oklahoma State. But, you know, this league is a bear. I mean, I think the best thing that can happen this league is they start playing some teams that aren't from the league itself, because it's hard. It's hard for anybody, particularly this year, to go unbeaten. The road games are just too difficult.
You know, and Scott Drew mentioned this, Jerome Tang mentioned this, Dick, as well. They finally, this week, after the disappointing loss to Oklahoma State, they finally were able to piece 2 to 3 practices back to back and focus on themselves. How much do you think that might help?
You know, I think it'll help a lot. And I think they obviously weren't the same team coming out of COVID. COVID affects people in different ways. But when they're at their best, they're a Final Four team. When they're at their best. So, everybody thinks the sky is falling if you play 1 or 2 bad games toward the end of the season. The point is, take a look at these types of games. I'm a glass half full guy. Take a look at the games that they won this year, and take a look at the teams that they beat, and then throw that out there. I mean, the Big 12, the top 7 in the Big 12, you can make a case for that being the best top 7 in the country, and that includes the Big Ten.
Gonzaga has a relatively easier road, but with Iowa in there and then Kansas maybe having some guys that maybe they didn't think they'd have, does that make it a little bit more difficult?
Well, they played the 2, 3, and 4 seeds in December. The games weren't close. The games were not close. They beat Iowa, they beat Kansas, they beat Virginia. Beat Virginia like a drum. Beat them 30. I mean, so I think that from that standpoint, and probably because they had to put certain teams in certain in Saturday brackets, I think they got a break. And I think that they probably have. Look, they're the number 1 seed overall. They probably got the easiest road.
What's it like to not see, some of the more familiar names like Duke, for example, in the tournament this year?
You know, that's a really good question. I think this has been a strange year, but you still need to earn your way in. I mean, I didn't think Kentucky was a good team. They finished 9-16. I think Duke was an average ACC team in, frankly, what I consider to be an average league this year relative to what it has been. I mean, there's nobody in the ACC that's ranked higher than 4. I mean, I was somewhat offended when they dropped out of the ACC tournament and then 2 days later said, well, if you want to invite us as an at-large team, we'll play. Obviously they didn't want to play Carolina in the tournament. They didn't want to play Florida State in the tournament because it affected their record. I mean, there's a team that was hanging on to a winning record by a thread. I could go as far as to say this was their weakest team since 95 when they did make the tournament. Now, why they didn't play Mark Williams earlier is beyond me. I mean, he's a legitimate 7-foot talent who got markedly better the last 4 games he played. And frankly, Duke was playing fairly well. I mean, they beat Louisville by 36 in the second round of the ACC tournament and probably knocked them out of the tournament altogether. But they chose not to play the rest of the games, and I don't know that you can suddenly put them in a position to kind of backdoor the way in the tournament. I don't know what you guys think.
Dick, we had John Feinstein on yesterday and also Len Elmore, and John does some games for the America East and was talking about how good that conference really is and how perhaps the 16th seed for Hartford did them a disservice. We had Coach Gallagher on. He was a character. We loved him. Have you seen them play much at all? Do you know much about it?
Here's their problem. Their best player is Tracy Carter, okay? He's a 3-time transfer. Started at Marquette, went to LaSalle, ended up at Hartford. The one thing that he's never faced is the type of man on the ball defenders he's going to see when they play Baylor. I mean, you've got to be able to initiate your offense in order to score points. I think that if you think about it, Hartford was not a 1 or a 2 seed. I mean, the 1 and 2 seeds, UMB and BC and Vermont both lost. John Gallagher's a personal friend of mine, so he grew up in right outside Philadelphia. I'm really happy he got to the tournament. Sure, everybody who gets to the tournament, nobody wants to be a 16 seed. But this is the first time Hartford's ever been to the tournament. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that they have the physical size or athleticism to compete against Baylor.
So since we didn't have this last year, Dick, and you are as big a college basketball guy as there is there a way that you can double up on your basketball intake to make up for a year of nothing?
I don't know if anybody can do that. Boy, I haven't. I mean, I feel like it's been forever since I've seen a live sporting event. It's funny you talk about John Feinstein. We're actually driving out to the Final Four together because we don't want to take a plane. And I'm driving down to Washington. I'll spend the night with him, and we'll just drive out together because we've been close friends forever. I'll just be happy to see you again. I mean, I wasn't going to go unless I got vaccinated. I got my second vaccination last Wednesday, and I'll be completely vaccinated by this time next Wednesday. So I feel a lot more comfortable getting in a car and going to see a tournament where there's probably going to be 20,000 people in the stands. I think they're allowing 25% of Lucas Oil to be filled up, and so I'm assuming there's going to be people there. I don't know how many coaches are going to be there. I don't know if this is even going to look anything like a normal Final Four. I mean, we're certainly not going to have access to the coaches and the players. I think we're going to be living in a Zoom press conference world out there. And I think you're still going to have to wear a mask and worry about social distancing, but it will be nice to actually see the games. They're not really letting many media go to the games unless you're connected with the team, or either on the radio or I guess if you're a beat guy who's with them all the time, you probably can get in. But they really are limiting the amount of media they're letting in. So I feel privileged to be able to see the tournament, but it will be totally different, guys, than I'm used to.
Yeah, no question about it. Dick, thank you very much.
Listen, it's always so nice to talk to you guys. I hope everything works out well for Scott and Baylor. He's got a nice team and done a really good job with this group. And it'd be nice for the town if they could get the Final Four.
No question about it, especially after last year being shut down as it was. Dick Weiss, or anytime. Thanks for your time. Basketball Hall of Fame writer with us, New York Daily News, and much more on SicEm365 Radio. I did get a credential request back from the NCAA, but it noted that I had a virtual credential. That
what's the point? I mean,
I wanted to be. I thought if Baylor, both the men and women, we'll see how they do this weekend. I know most likely the women will be in the Sweet 16, and perhaps we'll see what happens after that. The men, it's just a much more deeper, tougher thing to do no matter what. But I thought maybe Sweet 16 level might change. You sometimes think it might get tightened up. But still, to do a show in Indianapolis for a day, but I thought that I would be inside the arena. And I get it. I'm not complaining about it. Yeah, so we'll see what happens in the next weekend if they get to that point.
I think we're in a weird period where, the virus we're starting to get a bit of a grip on it, but because of that, a lot of people have relaxed, and now I think we're going to see a huge surge as we start to get these vaccines rolling in. So it's going to probably be a little bit more of a battle for a while, and then hopefully in a couple of months, everybody's had their shots at that point. But yeah, we're making headway. It's just not far along enough yet to where everybody can be at the games, and even if they're masked up, it's still not quite there. I think for it's even this WrestleMania is coming up, and I'm not really a WWE fan anymore, but I pay attention and read about what's going on. And one of the things of interest was that they were we're going to have huge attendance. We're going to have big attendance for WrestleMania in Tampa coming up in a month. Well, they came out today and said, hey, we're going to lower it to, it's still 25,000, but it's in a stadium where you could have 75,000. Mm-hmm. So they've even backed it a little bit from even a week ago, thinking they were going to have 50 or 60, and they've dropped it down. So, yeah, I think we're just kind of in that little transition period, but hopefully we're out on the other side of it soon, and, there will be no more. I'm sure virtual will never go away, but hopefully people can actually go and attend games regularly when they want to and not have to be one of 5 people allowed to enter a building.
Ask the mayor of Miami how he feels about how things are going right now.
Well, I told y'all, there's a double line wrapped around the clinic. I don't know if that's vaccination shots over by where I live. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's vaccination shots. But
there's going to be surges in certain places, and there's going to be nothing but okay in certain places as well. It'll be interesting to see when things do open, as things have opened up. They have opened up, and hopefully everything will work out okay. When we come back, one of the other NFL free agent signings, A.J. Green signed. He didn't have a great year last year, signed with Arizona, another weapon for Kyler Murray, even though he's on the backside of his career. All right, when we come back, a couple of notes in college basketball, college football as well. Tony Barnhart today at 4. Sarah Andrews of Baylor Women's Lady Bears basketball, at 4:20. And then Mejia's Kelvin Beachum on a 2-year deal with the Cardinals will join us as well in the 4 o'clock hour. This is SicEm365 Radio. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available at Waco Custom Marketplace. It is Wednesday. It is not yet 4 o'clock, so you have about 2 hours and 15 minutes to call them, to contact them at Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or drop by there and get your order in for 30-pound sacks of live crawfish at $4.25 a pound by 6 o'clock tonight. Get your order in by 6 on Wednesdays. You can pick up the sacks, how many you get, 1 or 4, or how many of live crawfish on Friday after 2 at their store on Lake Air Drive, and throughout the day they're open on Saturday. Also, they have different items of the week, and this week especially. Bone-in select ribeye steaks, $9.99 a pound. Select New York strip steaks, choice New York strip steaks, and prime New York strip steaks, depending on which one you get, from $8.99 a pound to $12.50 per pound. St. Louis style ribs, $3.25 a pound. Hot links for $3.99 a pound. And also 20% off all beef jerky. Both Paul and Craig like them some beef jerky, and they've got some great options for that as well. The bakery bakes fresh baked bread and kolaches every morning. And also the meat market is there. The butcher shop for what you need: pork, poultry, seafood, and beef. Waco Custom Marketplace, WacoCustomMarketplace.com, and also 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed: smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, some responses on what are some things you need to see. What specifically, you could throw out 3 or 4 things, and we can. There is a lot that says the bench points. Just not even points, just bench productivity off the bench. There are some that say the defense has been embarrassing. backdoor cuts, easy layups, and there's no question they have given up more of that in the last 7 games than they had the first, whatever it was, 17. Now, god-awful, embarrassing. There's a few times it's probably for them, the players are like, what the hell's going on here, the coaching staff. But god-awful and embarrassing, that's just apples and oranges. That must get better. They have given up way too many transition points and way too many points without any kind of problem at all. Blocking out, fouling somebody at the rim. Period. Mm-hmm. So is it the bench? Is it that? What is it? Because the defensive rotations, the coaches and players have admitted, got out of whack as well.
Yeah, there's no or. I mean, it's all that all together.
Give me one.
One? Well, that's not even a fair question. I mean, that's okay. Like, things don't exist in a vacuum.
We know what you're saying, Paul. All of them have been a problem. Give me the one that must improve the most for them to continue to have a chance to win the tournament.
Because
all three of them have to get better. Yeah. But we can say that. Give me one. Yeah. That's what my question was. Yeah. If you don't want to give me one, Craig, you give me one.
Shooting, I don't care.
There you go.
My point is, I just don't think that that's a fair enough question to boil it down to just that one. But,
I'll say shooting because if they shot well the other night, they win the game. I mean, that's pretty simple to me. They made more shots from 3 than they beat Oklahoma State.
6 of 28, right?
Right. So they're shooting. There you go. There's like 20 more points you missed out on. So I'll say that one. I mean, I understand Paul saying it's a combination of things, but if I have to pick one, shooting.
If you don't want to answer it, then don't answer it. Now, one of the things that I said is, Phil, I agree with him on this. He said that the reason they still went 5-2 against who they played was because their offense was so productive. Kind of reminds you back when the football years in the early 2010s when their offense overcame no matter what the defense could or couldn't do. But at the same time, the defense has also won games for them this year. The defense has gotten that boa constrictor mentality in the second half where they've squeezed people. And it looked like they had the tap out on Oklahoma State with 7 minutes left. And then Oklahoma State, how many points did Jerome Tang say they scored in the last 7 minutes? 31? Mm-hmm. So there's some teams that wish they would have had 31 against Baylor in a half. And that's exactly became a problem. So that does appear as if the defense has to tighten up. If you shoot the ball the way they're capable, it may not matter how well or not they can improve or get better and get back to rotations on defense. I don't know. So, all right, coming up next, Tony Barnhart, an elite college football writer and analyst. Also, Sarah Andrews of the Lady Bears in the 4 o'clock hour. And Mejias, Kelvin Beachum, another 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. This is SicEm365 Radio.
March means it's time to celebrate 22 years of serving Waco and Central Texas with big savings on all cars and trucks on the lot at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2021 Buicks have deep discounts. You can save $4,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore, $3,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore GX, or $3,500 off a 2021 Buick Envision. You can also save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave, or qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months. And if you want the best truck, you want a GMC. You can find savings like $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra, or save $6,500 on a 2021 GMC Acadia or GMC Terrain. And Richard Carr Motors is your local family dealer that wants to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. So come by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring a test drive to you. Right now, during the big basketball tournament, come by and take a shot as well to win additional prizes. It's the big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Mark Vital, offensive rebound, out to Butler. Welcome to Baylor basketball.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. Baylor freshman guard Sarah Andrews in the next segment. Then Kelvin Beachum of the Arizona Cardinals will join us at 4:45. SicEm365 Radio. And one of, without question, the elite college football writers in general, in all of college sports and elsewhere. Tony Barnhart joins us from the SEC Network and much more on SicEm365 Radio. Tony, thank you very, very much for joining the show. How much do you get locked into covering or being a part of the NCAA tournament each year?
Well, I used to get really locked into it when I worked for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution newspaper for 25 years, and I'm covering it every year. But when I went off on my own to do radio and TV, I didn't do as much, but I still love it. This is still my favorite time of year. I still fill out my brackets. I've been to 23 Final Fours, so it's a big part of what I did growing up as a sports writer. So I'll be dialed in this week. I promise you that.
What's your bracket look like?
You know, I really like Illinois. I like Alabama. And after those two, I'm not, I forget who else I had in my Final Four, but I like those two teams a lot. I think I love what the Big Ten did this year. So I think it's going to be maybe a couple of Big Ten teams, maybe a North Carolina, and maybe Alabama.
That would be something. Alabama would be an incredible story. What Nate Oates has done there is fantastic. We lose him?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get him back. Tony Barnhart will rejoin us in just a moment. Mr. College, it's Mr. CFB, MRCFB on Twitter, by the way, Mr. College Football, and that's pretty much the case as well. Try to see if we can reestablish our connection to Tony on SicEm365 Radio. By the way, there was we kind of mentioned this on the Sherry Cole story. Oklahoma's Sherry Cole retiring after 25 years. Craig, you mentioned this. They had not been very good for a long, long time. They had a little run this year near the end with Matty Williams, but it didn't finish very well. And they finished 12-12. We'll get back to that a little bit later in the show. Tony Barnhart joins us again on SicEm365 Radio. Alabama wins it all in football, which we're getting used to. But what a job Nate Oates has done with Alabama basketball. What would that be a story?
It would be. And listen, you go back, C.M. Newton, Webb Sanderson, there is some basketball history at the University of Alabama. But when he came in, I heard a lot of people tell me, hey, this guy is the real deal. Let him recruit a year or two, and Alabama will be right in the middle of this thing. And he has done tremendous job.
Tony, college football-wise, the extra year, the transfer rules, all the different things that are in play right now and look like they're going to be, part of college football moving forward. What do you think of the direction that the sport is going? What are your concerns? What are your positives that you see from all of the moving parts?
Well, the game on the field is as good as it's ever been. And the quality of the game is as good as it's ever been. The two concerns that I have right now for the overall health of the game is the fact that, well, here's the stat that jumps off the page at me. We've had 7 college football playoffs. That's 28 bids to the college football playoffs in the last 7 years. Of those 28 bids, 22 of those have gone to 5 schools. The 4 schools that played in it this year and Oklahoma. 22 of 28 have gone to 5 schools. I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem that manifests itself in recruiting, where it's difficult if you're outside of that, 5, 6, 7 teams. It's difficult to recruit because the elite players want to go to the playoffs, which is understandable. And the other thing is the engagement of the players as we get to the end of the year. If you're not in the playoffs, the elite players saying, "Hey, I'm getting ready for the draft." So I believe for the first time, I'm ready to have a discussion on moving the playoffs up to 8 teams. I think for those reasons I just mentioned, we've got to get more people engaged in the postseason. And so I'm ready to have that conversation.
Don't you think it would also take us away from the circus of the committee having to justify why they're picking teams that may not be there 4 weeks from the time they have to say that on TV?
Well, what I would like about it is that you get more conference champions in. We'll have a big argument about whether or not conference champs get automatic bids. I'm telling you now, we're going to have that argument. But I just think having more conferences and more parts of the country involved is going to be healthy for the overall game.
I'm a dynasty guy. I've always enjoyed them, no matter what sport, no matter what level of sport. But basically, do you feel like just even with Ohio State, with what they might do, or that just college football in general is the South and the East, and that's what's South and Southeast, and that's what's happening? Is that your concern?
That is a concern.
Yeah.
We need Midwest teams. We need teams from the West Coast. We need more parts of the country represented. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. And so, that's yet another reason that we just need to be more inclusive. Now, people can say, hey, if you want to be in the playoffs, win. But 4 teams at this point, to me, is simply not enough.
Tony, another very active college football coaching carousel this offseason. I mean, among some of the highlights, you got Malzahn to UCF, Heupel to Tennessee, Sarkisian to Texas, and I know there were many others. Your thoughts on Sarkisian at UT, and what were maybe some of the other moves that really stood out to you?
Well, I thought it was a great hire. I thought Auburn would take a run at Steve Sarkisian, even if he was at Alabama. I think he's that good of an offensive mind. I mean, look at what he did at Alabama with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is going to get taken in the first 20 picks of the NFL draft. Nobody would have ever guessed that. And I just think he did a tremendous job. I'm anxious to see, what Brian Harsin does at Auburn. I mean, Auburn's starting over with a new offense. And I think that's going to be fascinating. It was interesting, guys, because before the year started, I didn't think we'd have much of a coaching carousel because I said, hey, if you can just get your team through the COVID season and get them out the other side, you probably don't deserve to get fired. And Auburn proved me wrong right out of the gate by giving Gus Malzahn $21 million to go away. I mean, okay, never mind. Here we go.
Tony, in that regard, I mean, because all these schools have spent a lot of money, you think about one that has spent a lot of money on buyouts. Tennessee probably spends more on buyouts than they do on food for their athletes over a decade-long period. What has happened there, and is Danny White, the new AD, gonna really make a difference? Because was that the central problem?
Well, the problem at Tennessee for the longest time it really hasn't changed. They have not recruited or developed an elite quarterback in about 7, 8, 9 years. Joshua Dobbs was the last really good quarterback they had. And until they get that situation, the way the game is played today, you no longer can have an average player at quarterback. You have to have an elite player at quarterback. And Tennessee simply has not been able to recruit or develop one. That's why Josh Heupel was hired, because of what he has done offensively. He's got to develop one of the quarterbacks that they've got in the program. Because Tennessee, look, Georgia is on an upward trajectory. Florida is going to have a good year. All of these teams are getting better. To me, for Tennessee, it all goes back to quarterback.
Tony, Dave Aranda had a bit of a rocky first year here in Waco. They had COVID problems right out of the gate, no spring ball. What are your thoughts on him entering year two? He's revamped the coaching staff, made a few changes there, changing the offense up. What do you think about Dave Aranda and what he probably learned from year one that he can apply in year two?
Well, obviously, I met Coach Aranda when he got to LSU and was very impressed. The guy's a really good football coach. I mean, he really is, and I think he is going to do well with the commitment that is obviously there at Baylor in terms of facilities and things of that nature. I think he will do really well. But guys, it all comes down to recruiting. Is Baylor going to recruit at the Texas level? Are they going to recruit at the Oklahoma level? If they can do that, they'll be right where they want to be.
The story you wrote is recently about the new overtime rules, shortening the game, limiting decision making. Is that going to pass? And what are your thoughts about the going for two shootouts, so to speak, I guess, in the third overtime?
Well, the Playing Rules Oversight Committee almost always rubber stamps what the rule committee puts out in front of them, unless there's some unforeseen circumstance. So I fully expect those to get passed because, look, this thing was put into place to shorten the game, to keep the players from being on the field for so many plays. The whole thing started, as I said in the piece, with that 7 overtime game between Texas A&M and LSU. And what they did is they made some tweaks, they made some adjustments, but they did some more study this year. And you know what, guys? It's not enough. It's not enough. If you go 3 overtimes, you're basically adding 48 plays to the game, and that's too many. So I like it. I had a lot of people who gave me some pushback today on it, but I just think it will be exciting. And frankly, the guys do not need to be out there for 3 full overtimes. So think about this: it's like a shootout in soccer or a shootout in the NHL. It comes down to somebody's going to make a play with a 2-point conversion. That's going to decide the game.
What would you do to stem the tide of the transfer portal?
There's nothing you can do. It's with us. It's only going to get the transfer portal is only going to get bigger and wider, and we're going to have a rule that says everybody gets 1 free shot at it. And I think that's the one thing that will stem the tide is that once everybody's had their free shot. But no, it's a player issue, and in the times we're in right now, the players are going to win. And so I don't think it's going to slow down at all. One coach said something interesting to me about that. He said, look, the reality is if you're treating your players well and they're playing, they're not going to leave. Well, players leave because they don't think they're being treated well or they are not playing. And sometimes the reason they're not playing is that there are better players, and that's going to happen. And so I don't think there's anything you can do to change this. The portal is inevitable.
Tony, I noticed you retweeted this a few days ago, the Nebraska-Oklahoma story. Nebraska was apparently trying to get out of that game. They are going to actually play that game, but your thoughts on just sort of where the Cornhuskers are, Scott Frost now entering another year, and I mean, how bad of a look do you think that was for a program that obviously has a lot of rich history?
Well, it was as they say in politics, it was bad optics, okay? My man Brett McMurphy, who's one of the best reporters out there, broke the story. They were obviously trying to get out of the game, and then they said, well, we needed another home game to make money and all. Come on. I mean, give me a break. I mean, the 50th anniversary of that game. Hey, I got up that Thanksgiving morning and I watched that game. That's one of the biggest games in the history of college football, and you got to play it. No, it was a bad look for Nebraska. Nebraska never, it's easy for me to say that they never should have left the Big 12. They never should have gone to the Big 10. They're not a fit there. But that's what I know what the Big 10 money is like, and I know that's hard to resist. But Scott Frost is like any other coach. The name Nebraska doesn't win a single game for you. Players win games for you. And if you're not recruiting at the Ohio State, Michigan level, then it's not going to go well for you in the Big Ten. So Scott Frost is like everybody else. But you know what? It's always been about players, and that's what they've got to do. They got to recruit at the level that they're in.
Tony, one last question for you. You were at the Greensboro News and Record when you got out of the University of Georgia. Did you ever dream of where you would be these years later with what you have in front of you and what you've accomplished?
I told my wife one day, I can't remember when it was, I said, sweetheart, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think that I would be able to accomplish all this? She said, well, sweetheart, you got to understand, you're never in my wildest dreams. I've been very, very fortunate. I've been at the right place at the right time, getting the opportunity to come to. I grew up. Obviously, I'm in Atlanta. I grew up about an hour east of here, towards Augusta, and the goal was always to be at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Then I got the opportunity to do television, and that turned out well. So I'm a very lucky guy. I've been doing what I love for a long, long time, and my wife told me sooner or later you're going to have to get a real job. Understand that. So,
Tony, we appreciate you. You do an incredible job with it. Great to have you on. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, guys.
Tony Barnhart. He was a longtime award-winning columnist for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. CBS Sports does a lot with the SEC coverage. And then now still does a lot. Still does a lot of college football. And as I mentioned, he's part of the SEC network. Do you have that, Armstrong? This was Fran Fraschilla last night talking about the transfer portal in college basketball. Update from the NCAA transfer portal as of 4 p.m. Eastern, and this was yesterday.
I think that's lowball on it, actually.
How high is that? Let's see. There's a million, 27 million, trillions.
It's in the trillions.
Quadrillion?
Trillions.
Trillions?
That's our
Okay.
national debt.
All right, there we go. And that has gone up quite a bit, probably, with every time we pass.
I got my check. I got my direct deposit. Did you guys?
I haven't gotten anything yet.
Got
that I
my
know of.
stimulus.
Armstrong, did you get anything? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, I just looked last night. I randomly got an alert and had dropped my IRS direct deposit. So I guess it's going out. So, yeah, I got mine, and everybody else will get theirs eventually, I suppose. But, yeah, I'd imagine that number's probably gone up a little bit.
All right, the Lady Bears, of course, open up their tournament not quite as soon. The Lady Bears are in San Antonio and going through their quarantine and winning both the regular season and conference tournament championships for like every time for the last 11 years other than the one tournament. And then they have those 3 national titles, and the reason they do is players, as Tony Barnhart was just saying. Sarah Andrews, the freshman, Baylor guard, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Sarah, thanks for your time. What is it like right now as you guys just kind of are where you are in San Antonio waiting for whatever you can do next? What's that like?
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's a tough time right now. We're having to isolate as individuals in our rooms. And, as much as we would love to be around each other, our health matters to make it far in the tournament.
So how are you passing the time?
I mean, some of us bought our game systems. We're watching TV shows. I mean, we FaceTime, group FaceTime, just different things in our room.
Sarah, what's it like to be here, to be there, I should say, and to be gearing up for the big tournament? I'm sure you've dreamed about playing in it. Guys that have, obviously last year came up short for the Lady Bears. Just what's the excitement level like for you right now?
I mean, I'm very excited. I mean, you see the group of girls that I'm going to war with. I wouldn't want to go to war with anybody else, with Alyssa Smith and Dee Richards and Moon Earthman and Dejanay. I mean, those guys just bring so much energy to the team, and I'm very excited to be playing with this group of girls.
How much have you learned, and where are you now as a player, both with maturity, poise, and your game and productivity than you were even a month or two ago?
I mean, I've learned a lot. I mean, obviously, I didn't have the summer like everybody else did, but I've learned so much on the floor and off the floor from each and every one of them.
Does it feel like a crash course sometimes, like you got to keep up, or were you able to kind of steadily go along?
I mean, you see me getting each game. You see me getting more and more comfortable on the court. I'm able to contribute here and there. So I mean, I've been able to hang along and get more comfortable on the court.
So when you signed with the Lady Bears, I mean, obviously you felt like you were going to probably play for some Big 12 titles, win some Big 12 titles. You guys won a Big 12 title, regular season and the tournament, obviously. What was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was a great feeling for it to be my first one, and I knew what they could do. And that's the reason I chose to come here, was to win championships.
Sarah, you were a highly recruited player. You were an elite, highly top-ranked five-star guard out of MacArthur High School when you graduated and also when you committed to Baylor. But you knew that there were people in front of you. Dee Richards, of course, playing the point guard position, among others. What has it been like for you, who was dominating at the high school level, to know you have to wait your turn, but know you better be ready when your turn comes?
At the end of the day, I believe it's all a process. I mean, coming into this level, the game's much quicker. Everybody's stronger, faster. Everybody's better. So at the end of the day, I knew it was going to be a learning experience, and I knew that I could learn from one of the best, and that's Dee Richards.
What did it mean to the team for Alyssa Smith to not only be named the Conference Player of the Year, but also she has been recently named to the Associated Press All-American First Team?
I mean, she deserves it all. You see her bring it every game. You talk about somebody that wants to win. That's somebody that I want on my team every day. She's a competitor. You give her the ball and you know she's going to put the ball in the hole every time. So, I mean, she really deserved it. She put the work in for it, so I'm not surprised.
Is it hard to dog it when you have players out there like her?
Yeah, nah.
Sarah, how much just fun is this group of girls? I mean, you talked about, the leaders and Dee and how welcoming everybody was, but, we hear all the time about how close-knit this team is. Can you try and describe it from the inside looking out?
I mean, you see a lot of it on the court. You see the excitement when somebody else scores. You see nobody really being selfish. Somebody scores, the whole bench is lit, the court's lit. You can just tell by the atmosphere that everybody's for each other. It's nobody that's just for themselves. Everybody's for each other.
After the loss to Iowa State, Coach Mulkey mentioned that she needed to get you guys on the practice court. And the same thing with what the men had to deal with after their long delay as well. Did you see much of a difference in what you were able to accomplish once you started having practices and games, not just going straight to a game? And how much of a difference has it been?
I mean, yes, the practice made a huge difference. I think after that Iowa State loss, we really just locked in and we bought in, and we knew that at the end of the day, we all want to win a championship. So we all got one goal in mind, and that's to win a championship. So everybody's just really bought in and locked in and just ready to win.
How much has Coach Mulkey worked with you as a former All-American point guard, even though She's had many others since she started coaching at Baylor. How much does she get involved with you as a point guard?
I mean, we have a lot of conversations off the court, and, you know, it was a bumpy road at first when I first came in. We talked a lot about me not having the summer, and I was going to have to play a lot of catch-up. But, I mean, she's never stopped believing in me. She's made me get more confidence and more comfortable without there being on the court, and I think I've built some trust in her that I can go out there and play. So I think you see that our relationship has been, grown, and that the player I am today, she's helped me become who I could be in the future.
Sarah Andrews, Baylor freshman guard, with us in San Antonio on SicEm365 Radio. I did notice, I don't know exactly when it was, it's only been about a week ago, where you were a part of the champions of the month when it comes to student athletes, the Center for Excellence. Obviously, student athlete means a lot to you. How has it been with COVID to end all of the shutdowns, the pause, the travel, whatever, the big winter storm, to make sure you still take care of your academics?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a student first. I'm a student before I'm an athlete. And at some point in life, the ball's going to stop bouncing. So I always was big on academics, because after basketball, I got to think about what my future is like. So it's a huge part of my life.
You're very wise for a young person. You know that? Has anybody ever told you that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Your parents have to be incredibly proud. I mean, you really are. You're a freshman in college, especially experienced in all the things you've experienced. The team has discussed this a lot. The 4 seniors that didn't get to finish last year, and that's now who they're playing for, and you're playing for. How much does that really mean? And it's not just saying that.
I mean, obviously they got that year taken from them, and I believe that they would have won it all if they were able to do that. So I mean, we're playing for them, and we're trying to bring back that championship that could have been a three-peat that they could have won.
Yep.
Sarah, do you feel like you guys are flying under the radar at all? I mean, the Lady Bears are always talked about as being contenders, but I don't know. It seems, to me at least, I don't know about you, but does it seem like you guys are kind of under the radar a little bit entering the tournament?
Hey, I mean, I love it. I love being an underdog. That's fine with me. Just watch out when you're playing.
Wasn't Odyssey Sims and Alexis Jones, they were both at MacArthur as well?
Yes.
So how much was that, being at that school, knowing the kind of standard they had set and knowing that they both played at Baylor? Obviously, Odyssey was one of the best players ever to play at Baylor.
I mean, you know, those were some big shoes that I had to fill, but I've had plenty of conversations with both of them on and off the court, and I talk to Odyssey pretty much almost every day, and so she's talked to me about college. She's helped me prepare a lot going into the Big 12 tournament. I mean, going into the tournament, and they both just been role models for me. Like, they're sisters that I never had that I can lean on to when I need help.
If you don't get a lot of time to play, and we appreciate your time, Sarah, I know you got to go. Is there a pressure that once you're on the court, you have to be productive, more like push yourself and try? How do you keep yourself from trying to do too much, I mean?
I mean, I always watch from the bench, and I see, like, different things that I could go in that somebody else might not see that I could do better. Like, hey, maybe I need to play some defense here, or maybe they could have shot the ball here. So I kind of watch from the bench and learn different things from there. But at the end of the day, I just want to win. I don't care how we get it done. As long as we win, I'm fine.
Sarah, thank you very much for your time. Please be safe. I know you will. Good luck going forward. Good luck getting through all the various protocols. And thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank y'all for having me.
That's Sarah Andrews. You're right, Paul.
She's very, I mean, she's...
Freshman going on 35.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she says someday the ball's going to stop bouncing. I know that sounds like a cliche or kind of a common sense thing, but people would be surprised at how many athletes cannot grasp that concept.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the majority, but it's the majority of the stars, I feel like, are the ones that can't grasp that, and probably because they're stars and they feel like, hey, this bubble's never going to burst. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great mindset to have. She's obviously been, raised very well and has the right things in mind, and that's great to have that kind of mindset, especially for a women's basketball player. The WNBA even more of an unsure thing than the NBA, and we see how many dreams are crushed by the NBA, so
nobody who's in the who's in the NBA that's got a full-time gig in the NBA that's not on 10-day contracts has to also play in another country.
Right, yeah.
So,
There you go. And
LeBron James
I'm not sure their franchises would let them. Now, they
Yeah.
could play for teams internationally.
But
you're right.
LeBron James, I mean, if you're a good that's probably the worst example. So just pick a random Patty Mills on the Spurs.
Okay.
Good player, not a star, but Patty Mills. Patty Mills couldn't decide that he's going to go play in Australia for part of the year. He doesn't have to. You know, if you're in the WNBA, like even Brittany Griner is one of the highest paid players in the league. She plays overseas still too.
Diana Taurasi.
Yeah, they all do to
Yeah.
supplement their income.
Yeah.
So it's a tougher gig.
Now, when we come back, Kelvin Beachum, he played at Mejia High School, played at SMU. He signed a 2-year contract. In fact, I think it was this morning with the Cardinals.
Break after.
I did want to make one mention because I'll forget about it if I don't mention it now. But, we talked a lot about Trey Wisner at Connolly, and he's just going to be a junior this year. He's a player to watch out for recruiting-wise, USC, Oklahoma, all that. But another player that's in that same class from Temple, Pickell Harrison Pilot, just picked up a Notre Dame offer today.
Wow.
And he's up in like the 12, 14, 15 offer range now at this point. But he's just a junior this upcoming season as well, which Grayson and I talked about on the podcast the other day. So that's another Central Texas player that is really blown up. But, yeah, Notre Dame offered today, and he's got a bunch of other ones, including Baylor. I know he's very high on Baylor. And there's obviously some good players down at Temple. So, yeah, I think it's Pickell, as how you say it, Harrison Pilot, one to watch out for here over the next couple of years, and the Bears will be involved.
I want to, when you mentioned Temple, and I know, Paul, we do have to break. Torian York, hell of a player for Temple as well. He put this up the other day. He is ranked 6th out of 597 in his class. 6th out of 597, top 1% of his class. Torian York's a young man getting a lot of attention as well for his athletic ability. But, yeah, I've seen that Pilot. He's getting a bunch of attention. This is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI, premium quality MRI is convenient, affordable, and that's ideal. An average an MRI can cost about $1,100. Ideal MRIs, theirs cost $497 or less every single time. Not like $497 one time and $1,500 the next. Not $497 one time and then $1,200 the next. $497 or less every time. Ideal MRI, go online, idealmri.com. There are also their locations in the Central Texas marketplace off of I-35 and right there on the exit to Loop 340. Ideal MRI has a state-of-the-art MRI machine. I've been in it. It is just like the ones you would see at any of the major health systems. It is elite, and it is state-of-the-art. Ideal MRI also, by the way, can help you get your appointment set up, get all that done online if you're concerned about going into their office. Of course, that's what you can do. And then when you're there, you're not going to sit there for hours. And seriously, sometimes you might have to do that if you have an appointment somewhere else at a system. You're going to sit there for just a little bit because they're going to get you checked in, and then the Texan specialist will go over everything with you, get inside the MRI machine, get the pictures and all they need, and next thing you know, you'll get a call from the doctor that looks at it to explain what they see. Then you can pass that along to whoever your doctor is who said you needed an MRI. So the next time your doctor tells you, we need to get you an MRI, you say, how about idealmri.com?
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screen screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Armstrong Sims is wearing a green shirt. Craig Smoak has a Baylor green cap on. I've got a green lime, I don't know what, this is a Tiger Woods shirt that I saw him wear one time in a tournament. I called him. He sent it to me. Didn't even wash it. I found it.
I know where you're going with this, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to wear green on St. Patrick's Day. I'm never going to wear green on St. Patrick's Day. It's a stupid fake holiday, like Cinco de Mayo, like everything else. It's just an excuse for people to get drunk. I will not celebrate. There are tons of saint holidays. I'm Catholic. We have tons of them. I'm not going to celebrate one of them in particular. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Where in the hell did you sleep last night?
No, I did. I
wasn't even going to go there. I just brought it up. I wasn't going to single you out. You got like me really kind of like a little bit on edge.
No, I'm just telling you. I think today is a stupid fake holiday. I hate that people celebrate stupid fake holidays, and I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's coming from the guy who doesn't like fireworks
or Christmas. Doesn't believe in Santa Claus.
I like Christmas. There's never any reason to have children. There's never any reason to have a parade unless we win a world war.
Well, we've done that, but it's been a while.
Yeah. So it's been almost 80 years since we've had a parade where the moon landing, that was parade independence.
We could win another one, and we would bitch and moan about whether we should have a parade.
No, a lot of people would complain that we won.
Yeah. Moon landing is
so true.
Moon landing was parade worthy. I'll say that. So since the moon landing, I can't think of anything
Armstrong,
else.
did that even register today when you put your clothes out for when you and Drake text and J.D. about, hey, what we wearing tomorrow to school, that kind of thing? Did you?
We do not text about that.
I don't know. I think there are certain days where Drake and J.D.
definitely they coordinate for sure. I am not included on those.
That's not something that you should ever do.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Well,
that's something that old people do. I've told people, old people in like South Florida. You've seen this when you go to South Florida. Sometimes you'll be in a restaurant and you'll see an old couple wearing like the exact matching tracksuit. And I remember I told somebody, like, if that ever happens to me, I want you to put me in the home retroactively.
Well, I think that might just be two people who love each other have been together so long that they just think in simpatico and they put the same thing on.
Sorry, I'm not going to ever do that.
Retroactively, is that like opposite of time? I want served. And
I want them to pay more money. Like I should have been in the home that long. Like that's what I want.
All right, glad we brought that up. A couple of things. Fox Sports Southwest, right? They carry a lot of sports. They carry high school football shows, and they have usually I think they still have the Mavericks or the Rangers. The Fox Sports Regional Sports Networks will be formally rebranded to Bally Sports on March 31st. Yep. On that day, Fox Sports Detroit will become Bally Sports Detroit. Same thing with, I don't know what I guess it'll be Bally Sports Southwest.
Disney owns them right now, currently, right?
One thing, consumer standpoint, nothing else changes as far as it appears. No, channels will be the same, locations, all that.
They're owned by Sinclair.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's it. You may get that. We had that one note early in the day, in case you didn't see us at the start or weren't listening on the start. But Mark Bell is going to retire as the AD at the China Spring effective June the 30th. Wanted to get that out there. And Brandon Houston, I just got a text as well from a coach. Did you know about Brandon Houston? Buffalo head coach did a hell of a job there. He's headed now to take the job at Taylor. Now, Trent Williams signed that $138 million deal. I always like to tell the Trent Williams story that when he used to go to the field house when he was younger, his brother would drive the car to the field house. His brother would go in and have off-season workouts, weight work with his friends, teammates, whatever. Trent Williams would sleep in the car. He was lazy as you could say whatever word you want after that. You could ask him, he'd admit it. So I sent a note to John King, the Lobos head coach. I said, man, what a story about Trent Williams. He said he's a rich blank. And I said, remember the stories about him sleeping? Because he was lazy. He was a big kid, lazy. He just got a $138 million deal, and he's 32? 30? How old is he?
He's like 32-ish, I think. So this will take him to like 39. This is his last contract.
Yeah,
I mean,
good for him, though. Good for him. Now, there's one other story to get to if we can. The 4 Power 5 schools of late, Minnesota, Indiana, among others, who have now had coaching changes, have committed a combined total of $24.175 million in buyouts on their coaches. Minnesota, their hiring Richard Pitino offset Minnesota paying Richard Pitino too much. Mm-hmm. Indiana had 2 boosters write checks that got Archie Miller out. Mm-hmm. Just 2 checks. So I'm not sure if the school actually paid for them. Utah fired Larry Kostoviak last night. He had a buyout of $6.6 million. And of course, that could be mitigated.
And then it's like 5 teams. It's less than what Auburn paid for their football coaching
staff. Yeah, that's exactly the stat yesterday. And the final story with Tony Barnhart and then Kelvin Beachum. I asked Tony Barnhart about the overtime rules. Have you guys read this?
Mm-mm.
The overtime rules that could go into effect immediately, in fact, could work for this year. First overtime, teams have the option of kicking an extra point or running for 2 as always. Second overtime, teams must run a 2-point conversion immediately. Was that the case in the second overtime?
No, it was the third overtime.
The third overtime, teams begin running alternate 2-point conversion plays until the game is over.
Well, look, this could be called the A&M LSU rule or the Arkansas Tennessee. It was Arkansas and Tennessee that went.
Whoever it was,
something like that. But A&M and LSU. I remember watching. I was more interested to watch the guys get interviewed in the press conference after the game because you know you're going to get charged up and have energy. But you could see it like, listen, I have adrenaline running because we won this game. But you can see it on their face. Oh dear God, I'm about to pass out. Please stop asking me questions so I can go to my locker and fall asleep.
Yeah, that was a game towards the end of the year. That wasn't even imagine if that had happened like week 3 and then you had to turn around and like play Auburn the next week or something like that, or Bama or whoever. So yeah, it's definitely an LSU A&M rule. I know people are split on college football's overtime. Some people prefer the NFL method. I was never a fan of sudden death overtimes, so I like that the NFL has at least tweaked theirs a little bit. But I like the college football overtime. I get it, though, with the way teams can score nowadays. You know, you could go 17 overtimes in some cases.
Easily,
so
yeah.
I'm cool with this. I think it's unique enough that it'll at least provide some excitement. And, you know, by the time you get to that third or fourth overtime, I know you got to force the 2-point conversions, but This will speed things up, so that's probably a good thing. Now, if they could just pass a rule where Big 12 officials don't get to spend 10 minutes on reviews for things that have no bearing in the first quarter of games, then we'd really be onto something as far as speeding the pace of the games up.
Thoughts and prayers to Sean Bradley, former NBA star, and he was. I mean, he wasn't 7'6", went to Brigham Young. Was he Brigham Young? Former Maverick was paralyzed, a traumatic spinal cord injury after his bike he was riding was hit by an automobile back on January 20th, a block from his home in Utah.
Yeah, so maybe this person had a medical emergency. There's certainly that. I hope that's the case. Otherwise, they were reading some text message that probably felt important at the time that obviously is not important, as the fact you paralyzed a guy because you weren't paying attention or whatever the case was. I don't know what this person's issue was that caused them to run into a 7-foot-tall man on a bicycle. But, yeah, the terrible tragedy. He's paralyzed. Like, you go from making your bones playing basketball, running up and down the court, and he did it as awkwardly as anybody ever because his body was just so out of balance because of his size. Like, he was not built right, like he
7'6".
He's off balance the moment he gets out of bed. So, but you go from that, and then obviously a bike riding, loving guy and lives out in the, country of Utah or whatever, and rides his bike, and some idiot for whatever reason or medical emergency, then I won't say that the person's an idiot, but yeah, I would love to know what caused that. I drive down the road far too many times nowadays, and people just aren't even looking at the road. It's insane. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be old guy here, but literally can drive by people and wonder why they're going slow or why they're swerving, and they're reading a text message. And it's like, nothing is that important. Nothing is that important. Going on.
You are old now. You turned 37.
I am, but it's frustrating because I see near wrecks constantly, and it's just, and then I see a story like this, and it pisses me off because, it might not be that. That might not be the reason. That's why I keep saying that. But odds are that it very well could be, and definitely it has been the reason for other people getting severely injured.
Breaking news in Baylor men's tennis: their match with Arizona tonight has been moved to the indoor center because we have like hurricane whatever's going on outside.
Winds are crazy.
T-shirts will be given away Saturday, but they'll be at the Hawkins Indoor Center tonight against Arizona. When we come back, Kelvin Beachum, Mejia, SMU, and now part of the Arizona Cardinals, signs a 2-year contract. Things have not always been easy for him, and his chip on his shoulder is larger than ever. He is a guy that gets the big picture, and he's next on SicEm365 Radio.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3-P Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's the 22nd year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
Mahia X, one of the great Black Cats, SMU, and of course NFL offensive lineman Kelvin Beachum with us on SicEm365 Radio. Big day yesterday. Kelvin has signed a 2-year extension with the Cardinals. What was that like, to kind of have some additional security?
It's an amazing feeling. I think anybody who's in the workforce appreciates stability and security, and that was something that we were able to work out with the Cardinals. So excited for the opportunity to continue starting and continue my journey as a pro ball player.
And last year worked out well. You had an opportunity to get a chance to play. That's why they brought you in. Obviously, you performed the way they liked. Cardinals had a nice run. What did they tell you, and what are the expectations for you this year?
I mean, the expectation is to come in and start and finish what we started last year. We started on a good note. Didn't finish the season in the way that we wanted to. Didn't make the playoffs, which is, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So now the goal is to go back and finish what we started. And, I know the organization is doing everything that they can to put pieces in place to make sure that we're able to go and do that. But we just added on offense A.J. Green, another good receiver. So excited to see what comes from it. And like I said, excited for the opportunity to contribute on my end.
How much did Kyler Murray's, how much did he bring energy to the franchise?
I thought he's brought a great deal of energy, a great deal of youth, a great deal of excitement, not only to this organization, but I would say to the NFL and to the game as a whole. But he's a dynamic player. I mean, he's going to be up for one of these big, giant $100 million contracts in the next year or so. So know that the Cardinals have to gear up and get ready to pay him, because he is a dynamic player and one that's going to be around for the next generation of quarterbacks.
Kelvin, it seems so easy. You see these contracts right now because the tampering period ended and now things are into free agent mode and the big money and all of that. But I know it's not. And you have had to kind of scratch and claw a little bit. You've had a chance to stay within the NFL after being drafted by Pittsburgh and having your stay there. What does it mean when you have somebody want you? And like I said at the beginning, and what you mentioned is that they wanted you, they brought you in, and then they liked it enough to extend you, because it has not always been just like rainbows and butterflies.
It's never been rainbows and butterflies. I came in as a 7th round pick, 7D, and I was actually talking to Mr. Bidwell as I was signing the contract today, and to be able to have 5 contracts, in a career is not something that you do easily. So it's been a lot of fighting, a lot of scratching and clawing to get to this point. But God has been faithful, and I'm excited to continue representing my hometown of Mahia and continuing to represent my family that comes from Mahia. So I'm excited to represent for Central Texas. And it's a big thing to continue this journey and continue to be a model for those who want to come after me.
I was on the phone earlier with Tristan Abram. He's the new coach, as you know, at Mahia. I know that last year, the last 10, 12 months have been different. I know you love to give back. Has it been tough to be able to do some of the things you want to do because it's people can't converge, or now it's kind of changing a little bit? Texas has opened up a little bit. You looking forward to getting a chance to finally meet him?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting him, looking forward to it's always great to put a face with a name, but looking forward to meeting him and spending some time with him. But it has been difficult, with the things that I've done in the past, either the football camps or the food distributions. Those things have kind of been halted, and it's been kind of more behind the scenes, just trying to make sure that logistically people can be able to get the resources that they need. But it has been difficult, but when things start to open up and people are vaccinated and we're in a more normal world, I'm looking forward to being able to get back to that giving spirit in a more in-person fashion.
The Cardinals had that one year when Kurt Warner was there, and they made a run to the Super Bowl. I think lost to Pittsburgh, but it has been a long stretch. I asked about the energy that the team has brought, Kyler Murray has brought, but you're a part of that. Everybody's a part of that. What's it like now to say you're a part of the Arizona Cardinals and people are excited about what's happening?
It's a special feeling because this offense can score at any time, literally from anywhere on the field, and it's a dynamic and an exciting offense. And to be a part of it is for me, at this point in my career, is special. It's not often that you get to have DeAndre Hopkins and Chase Edmonds and Christian Kirk and A.J. Green and Kyler Murray, as your skill positions. Though that's a dynamic skill position. And we have a very good talented offensive line in DJ Humphries and Justin Pugh. It's a talented roster offensively, and we know that if we do our job offensively, the defense will do what they need to do to make a couple stops so we can win games. And at the end of the day, that puts us in a position to be in the playoffs. And like I said, that's what's most important when you're trying to keep a job and when you're trying to stay in the National Football League, is being able to get to the playoffs.
You hear that players play better when they're in a contract year. And I'm not saying that's what you did. You had a really good year. Is that sometimes fair for people to say that? Or is it just, hell, I got to play and I got a contract coming up. I have to make sure I'm better than even if I possibly wasn't.
I think every year is a contract year. If you really look at it, it's very few players that can have a down year and still keep their contract. And I would say that's not even the case. It used to be the case where a quarterback could have a down year and still be, on the roster. But you're seeing that with Jared Goff. You have a down year, they ship you out of there. So I would say every year is a contract year. You don't have the opportunity to coast because there's somebody else coming right behind you. I know that there's another offensive lineman somewhere in America that's training to come and take my spot right now. I know that the draft is happening here in a couple of weeks, and there are going to be guys that are, coming to push me out the league. I'm a 31-year-old tackle. Like, I understand the numbers. I understand the business. I understand that the NFL stands for not for long. So I think every year is a contract year. You can't, and I don't think it's fair for the public to think that, because it's your contract here, you turn it up a little bit. No, every year is your contract here because you can be cut, released. You can be a cap casualty any year. So you don't have that ability to say, well, I need to turn it on this year. You need to turn it on every year because at any point in time, you cannot be on a roster because of, numbers, money, performance, injuries, what have you.
You knew Cliff Kingsbury. He's a Texas guy, and obviously a great quarterback at Texas Tech and elsewhere. Offensive coordinator with Johnny Manziel at A&M, and his time as a head coach at Tech. What was it like when you first met him and started talking to him about playing for the Cardinals?
It was amazing. It's always great when you have some commonality. He played with my offensive line coach from college, Adrian Clem, who's now the head guy in Pittsburgh. I wear a lot of SMU attire around, because I get a lot of free stuff from SMU. And he's the first person to say, hey, I got a better color for you if you ever want one. So we poke at each other quite a bit, but it's a great bond. Anytime you're from Texas, you always have a deep appreciation for anybody else from Texas. So it's been cool playing for him. He's a real cool, calm, and collected dude. Know that he has a lot of pressure on him this year because we do need to make the playoffs. So excited to go and deliver for him.
What does it mean to you that your alma mater is playing at such a high level, and Sonny Dykes has been able to get them to another level?
It's exciting. It's exciting to see SMU getting national recognition. It's exciting to see SMU put out, great product, not only, on the field, but also guys that are coming into the National Football League and playing for an extended amount of time. So really excited for what Sonny is doing and what he's doing for Texas. Anytime SMU is getting better recruits than Baylor and UT and Tech and TCU, I'm excited because a lot of those schools pass me up. So anytime SMU is on the top looking down at some of the others in Texas, I'm always excited about that.
You still have that chip, and I know you will, and you've used it to your advantage for a long, long time. You mentioned you're flying to New York on business. Everyone knows, and the story of Kelvin Beachum and how you dove into the business and entrepreneurial part of life, not just as a football player. That's why you were a student athlete, not just an athlete. You are heavily involved in a lot of things. Are you staying busy? Has COVID changed much of your dreams or what you're involved with?
It's made me more efficient because I don't have to travel as much. This is the first time that I've traveled really since COVID. But I would say that, being able to handle things over Zoom and over the phone is something that's become a norm, which I'm perfectly fine with. I mean, I get to spend more time with family. I don't have to get on the plane and have to travel as much. But, I wouldn't say that it's hampered or the pandemic has hampered the business side of things. If anything, it's just made it more efficient. And it's made me think more critically and more strategically about how to get things done and how to continue to put the foundation together for the next chapter of life after the game is officially over with.
Kelvin Beachum, congratulations, young man. We're all proud of you. Central Texas, Mejia, Texas, SMU, and everyone else. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the trip.
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
Kelvin Beachum of the Arizona Cardinals on SicEm365 Radio. I was on the phone with Tristan Abram, the head coach at Mejia. I said, have you been able to have a chance to meet Kelvin? He goes, I met his father. He's a great man, but I haven't had a chance to meet Kelvin, and I think they'll meet sometime pretty soon. Coming up next, the 5 o'clock hour, John Machota, Stephen F. Austin men's basketball coach Kyle Keller at 5:20, and then also today, Jason King. So we'll have a heavy dose of men's basketball to continue. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340, just east of 84 in Waco. Your friend in the car business and J.D. Power, yet again, this year, the winner, Customer First Service Award for Excellence. Ram Truck, back-to-back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. The new 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star. Crew cab, total values of up to $7,000 or 0% for 84 months. This is the month where everybody tries to, in college basketball, if they're still alive, reach the pinnacle, the championship level. And Alan Samuels is trying to do that and drive towards that every month. Also, Dodge Performance Days going on this month. And the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT with total values of $6,170 or $3,000 combined cash plus 0% for 72 months. The 2020 Chrysler 300, it's a good-looking car. The Touring, $6,250 total values of 0% for 84 months. And the new 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude, $6,000 total values or 0% for 84 months. Also discounts and values and great interest on the Jeep Grand Cherokee and also the Jeep Renegade Latitude as well. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, pushing towards a championship month like Baylor in men's and women's basketball. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Prescott going end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. Dalton Schultz.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson, investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. 5 o'clock hour packed again. Kyle Keller of SFA breaks down the tournament for us and also the Baylor region. SFA head coach. This year they didn't make the tournament. They didn't win the Southland. They weren't allowed to be a part of it because of that NCAA deal, but they're free starting next season. John Machota, theathletic.com on SicEm365 Radio. So, John, Trent Williams, big money with San Francisco. Let's see, A.J. Green to the Cardinals. Have the Cowboys missed out on anybody they wanted?
I don't believe so. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why that they haven't is because they were never going to spend at this time of year. You know, even though the Dak Prescott contract got done, that was never going to be about any of these big name guys that were going to sign, agree to deals the last 2 days and then finally signed today. It was always going to be waiting until that next wave, and most of those guys are out there. I put out a thing on Monday with 15 names to keep an eye on, and I think only 2 of those are even gone, and that one was Tack McKinley, and actually he might be the only one on there that's actually gone. So I don't think that they're they've really missed out on anything yet. The thing I'm keeping an eye on is really safety, because I think they need a veteran-free safety. Malik Hooker is a guy that I think would be very intriguing, because I don't think it'll cost you a lot because he's had injury histories. And then if you get lucky and he is healthy all year, you got a first-round type talent at safety. So that on the defensive line, But my thing is that I just don't think that you're going to see anything happen in these first few days and even the next couple of days, because they're going to wait it out and see what's left there and then spend on what is typically bargains. It just, even though the Dak deal got done, I don't think anybody should have thought all of a sudden they were going to be making some big move and going after, even a Dalvin Tomlinson. I thought even he was out of their price range. So that didn't surprise me really at all either. So we'll see. I mean, there's still cards to be played here. I found it interesting that Chidobe Awuzie was quick to find work. I never thought he would be back with the Cowboys, and obviously Andy Dalton finding work elsewhere. That always made sense because he wasn't going to get a chance to start this year for the Cowboys. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like all the Cowboys have done so far is, bring in some reinforcements for their special teams. So, still plenty of work to be done on that defense.
Can they let the backup quarterback market come to them, or do they have to get at least mildly aggressive there if they want a true veteran that can help them if Dak gets hurt again?
I think to a certain extent, excuse me, they can let it come to them, because I just don't think anybody's going to be overpaying for, let's say, an Alex Smith or a Colt McCoy. I just think that there's going to be guys out there that, again, they're not going to be as good as Andy Dalton. I mean, that was kind of a fluke thing. I mean, Andy Dalton, if he would have got out to regular free agency last March, he would have got a better deal than the Cowboys offered him, just like he got a better deal this year because he got out to free agency in March. But he didn't last year. He had to wait until the end of April, and then once the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow, then he's available in May, and then the market's dried up. I mean, what is left for you then? There's only a certain amount of teams, and so, he picks the Cowboys because it's only a one-year deal, and it's obviously close to where his home for him. So I don't know that they can count on being that lucky on waiting for after the draft, but I don't think you can completely rule that out either, because there's teams that can take a quarterback pretty high, and maybe they cut a veteran backup that's already on their roster. So I think they're going to be patient with it. I don't think they're going to be too antsy to overspend for a backup quarterback.
I'm sure, and this is not Cowboys per se, but I'm sure Washington will probably draft a quarterback. But what did you think of them signing Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, I find it interesting because he's a guy that can certainly win games, but I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a guy that is going to all of a sudden take you to 11 wins and then make you, all of a sudden have a Super Bowl run. So I think he's on par with basically the quarterback play they've had the last couple of years. Maybe he's a little bit better than that, but I don't think it's significantly better. It's not. The addition of Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't enough to put Washington ahead of Dallas as being the favorite to win the division. They have to do better at quarterback than that. Like I said, I think I've told you guys before, if they were able to swing something for Deshaun Watson, well, yeah, then the power shifts back over to Washington. But just getting Ryan Fitzpatrick, and if they go into the season with him as the possible starter and Tyler Heineke as his backup, I don't see Washington as being the favorite to win the division. I think it's the Cowboys.
The one that that's kind of Dallas's explosiveness with what they do on offense. If Dak remains, of course, last year he got hurt against the defense that added a corner. It's pretty good. That it's going to be interesting. And in this day and age, it's not always defense wins championships. Sometimes the offense does, the way things are right now. But that, I think at least it gives him more than a bus driver, doesn't it, as far as Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he can definitely win games. I mean, he's gotten hot before and won several games in a row. My whole thing is that, and this is just my belief on it, I believe it always evens out with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
I just think of Ryan Fitzpatrick as a guy that, if you don't have a quarterback, he's a guy that can probably get you 8 or 9 wins, if you're a solid team. I just don't see him as being the guy that puts you over the top and then it takes you to a Super Bowl or gets you to have some postseason success. And frankly, if you're Washington, that's what you got to be aiming for. I mean, Washington's looking at this division just like Dallas is, where it's this thing's still there for the taking, like it has been for the last few years, particularly last year. And now this is about getting beyond what we did last year if you're Washington. And Washington, I mean, no one really thought they'd beat the Bucs, but I mean, they hung around in that game a little bit in the playoffs. It's the defense is outstanding. So if you add in a quarterback that is pretty good, then you should be able to go even farther than you did last year. I just would caution any Washington fans from thinking Ryan Fitzpatrick's the answer, and then all of a sudden, hey, watch out, Washington's a Super Bowl contender now.
John, linebackers are a really interesting spot for the Cowboys for me, in that we know that Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith are going to be there and see how they fit into Dan Quinn's scheme. But after that, now with Joe Thomas gone, who's a very reliable backup for them, what are they going to do there?
Well, I'm interested to see what happens with Sean Lee. We haven't heard anything from him recently, and the last time we had talked to him, and the end of December, early January, he was talking about how, it's going to be just like last season, where he was going to kind of weigh some things in the off season and see if he wanted to retire or come back for another year. And so whether Sean Lee comes back or not, obviously it isn't a significant change. Obviously his best ball is behind. But the key there is it puts another, really solid veteran and a great veteran leader on that defense back in that locker room. Without him, I look at the linebacking core for this team, and you really just have Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. And yeah, you can draft another guy, and I assume that they're going to do that. But I think you need to sign a veteran. I think they have to bring in another veteran now, because without Sean Lee or without Joe Thomas, you don't really have another veteran presence. And let's be honest, with the injury history with Leighton Vander Esch, obviously the injury history with Jalen Smith, and also just his ineffective play and the way he played last year, it looked like he took a step back. Like, your next two linebackers on the depth chart, they can't just be guys that, like, yeah, we can come in and play 15 snaps a game. No, they have to be guys that are ready to come in and start, like, if called upon. I mean, they really need guys like Anthony Hitchens and Damian Wilson that they had, a few years back. They need that type of caliber guy who, yeah, they might be a backup on the depth chart, but they have to be able to come in there and play a starting role if need be. And right now, I mean, do you feel confident that that's Francis Bernard? Do you feel confident that that's Luke Gifford? I find it hard to believe that they do. So I would think before free agency is over, they're adding a veteran linebacker. Oh, that was another guy that was on my list, one of their 15, Denzel Perryman. He's another guy at signed, so he's off the list. I thought he could be a decent guy there that, he has starting experience, has dealt with some injury history, but obviously he's not coming to the Cowboys now.
It didn't come as much of a surprise that he's gone, John, but Chido Awuzie to the Bengals, your thoughts on that move for him, and then also what it means for Dallas?
Yeah, my thoughts on that were just talking to one of the Bengals writers that works at The Athletic after the move happened. We were just texting back and forth, and he was just asking me about Chido, and I told him that, for these 4 years that he was in Dallas, I thought that he did a good job of. He was in good position. You never just seen him. I mean, I shouldn't say never. There were times, but for the most part, he was always in good position. It just he never made enough plays, and so it was like you just knew it was probably better for a change of scenery for both parties, for him and for the Cowboys. And my other big takeaway that I told his writers, I said, just to give you a comparison, Trayvon Diggs is a second-round pick. Chido Awuzie is a second-round pick. In Trayvon Diggs' one season, which obviously was impacted by injuries too, he showed more upside than we saw from Chido in all 4 years he was in Dallas. So when I see stuff like that, and I think that is the type of production you can find sometimes in the second round, certainly with how high in the second round the Cowboys are going to be picking, it makes a lot of sense just to draft another corner. If it isn't at 10, maybe at 44. With that being said, though, that's another position. I still think you need to add another veteran. You don't have to break the bank and necessarily spend big if that's what it costs to get, let's say, a Patrick Peterson or Richard Sherman. But I think they need to add another veteran on the back end there, and then also draft somebody that has starting capabilities in one of the first or second round.
John, thank you very much. It's nice to have things that are now official, or at least there's movement, not just the waiting game. Thank you so much.
What about Dak's contract? Oh, wait, we don't have to ask about that anymore.
He was let out of beat writer hell, prison, with the news a week ago with Dak. John, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on.
With quick note, then Kyle Keller, SFA coach, will break down the tournament, also Baylor's region, also his thoughts about a couple of other things. Hassan Reddick, Paul.
Another Matt Rule guy goes and plays for Matt Rule. If you look at his roster, it's full of Baylor and Temple guys. Full of them. And then, look, that defense already had a pretty good front seven, of young front seven. And Hassan Reddick had a really good year last year. He had a couple games where he had a ton of sacks. And, he's I think people think that he's a bit hit or miss. So 1 year, $8 million deal to go to the Panthers and play for his college coach who has a ton of faith in him. And Phil Snow,
Bravion Roy, Sam Tecklenburg, Clay Johnston, Hassan Reddick, Robbie Anderson, Ventel Bryant, Sean Chandler, Sam Franklin, Keith Kirkwood, Colin Thompson, P.J. Walker. Yeah. He knows him, right?
For those that don't know what you're talking about, those are players from Temple and Baylor that are now signed with the Carolina Panthers. So that's what you're referring to. And, yeah, that's another Temple guy. And It's just a one-year deal. If anybody knows how to use Hassan Reddick, it's the guys who made him a first-round draft pick. That's who he's playing for once again. And, yeah, I mean, they obviously like familiarity, and they have a certain way of doing things, and the guys who have been around them know how to do those things. And so it just, I think, makes sense, makes there's not even so much of a transition now, but whatever transition there was, certainly having the Robbie Andersons and the Clay Johnstons and the Sam Tecklenburgs and all those guys that kind of knew how Rule and staff operate definitely helped things. So I think Carolina's got to figure out quarterback. I know they're rumored to be involved heavily with Deshaun Watson, although now Watson with these rape allegations or I don't know, is it a rape allegation or a sexual assault allegation?
Sexual assault. First, apparently there's going to be 4 different ones filed against him.
Really?
By this one lawyer, Tony Busby, who ran for mayor of Houston a couple years ago. And it's the first one's out. I saw Dan Lust, our friend, tweeted it out. So
so that's obviously a wrench that's kind of been thrown into the whole Deshaun Watson thing, because now you have to, whoever you are, including the Texans, because he's still on their roster, you got to kind of figure out what the legal situation is there. It's very odd timing, to be sure, when he's in the midst of all these big trade rumors and everything else. So that's a bizarre story that needs to be cleared up quite a bit. But I mean, they need to find a quarterback, and once they do that, I mean, they're going to be really set, especially up front defensively. They got guys in the back as well that are pretty good. So they're going to be good on defense, and they just need a little tweak on offense, and they'll be interesting to watch for sure.
We want to break here. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back. Kyle Keller, men's basketball coach at Stephen F. Boston. He's next to break down the tournament, Baylor's region, and more. And then Jason King, SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Ken Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want and need to be. Maybe you just haven't felt great. You haven't slept great. Your focus isn't good. Possibly you're lethargic. And maybe your sex drive is not what you think it should be or needs to be. PettyClinicLowT.com can help take care of a lot of those symptoms, maybe all of them, and for sure at least 1 or 2, depending if that's what you're dealing with. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues when it comes to ED and low testosterone that leads to an issue with your sex drive. Dr. Kent Petty, you go to his website, PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com. Ask for an appointment. Even tell him if you want that I sent you, or just tell him, hey, I've heard about what you do, your program to get me back to being the high-performance man that I want to be and I haven't been. They'll then set you up with blood work, lab work. He'll look at your testosterone levels. They also check your PSA level. They also check your cholesterol and other levels in your body as well. And if, in fact, your testosterone levels appear to be lower than they should, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels to become the high-performance man you want to be. It's that simple. PettyClinicLowT.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, 5 o'clock hour. Thanks to John Machota on the Cowboys. We'll hear from Jason King, SicEm365.com, National College Basketball writer, thefield68.com with Ashley Hodge and company, Rob Douster, Jeff Goodman and company. Kyle Keller, men's basketball coach at my alma mater, Stephen F. Austin, joins us and breaks it down on SicEm365 Radio. I have to start with this. How tough was this year knowing that no matter what you did, you couldn't get to the promised land after last year's season was shut down?
Well, it was, hey, Smokey, it was, first of all, you sick? God dang, you sound like you've been out running in the cold today.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
It was a unique year for sure. You know, trying to find motivation, not being able to play, and what I think the greatest tournament of all, and you know, it was very unique and different, and wasn't a lot of fun knowing that your season was going to end March 6th, regardless. That there was an end date that was definitely different. 2 years in a row where you don't get to participate in the NCAA tournament, and but actually we kind of enjoyed it and had fun with it and did some different things in practice and you know, just tried to really enjoy our players this year as much as possible. And that was the fun part more than anything else, was having fun with the guys.
When you look at this year's bracket and how it fell, particularly for Baylor, we'll just start asking you that. What do you think about their chances to make a Final Four?
Oh, I think it's high. You know, obviously we played them early, and you know, we didn't have much time to prep for them, and I appreciate Coach Drew playing, but I think we could have had a month to prep for them, and it wouldn't have mattered. We might have not turned it over a school record 35 times, but I think they're really good. And I know that going on that COVID pause hasn't been great for them, but, you know, I think they're as good as any team, you know, top 2 or 3, 4 teams in America. And I know he will turn that loss in Kansas City into a positive for them. And they will be excited to play in Indianapolis. They're as good as anybody in America, that's for sure.
Kyle, that Oklahoma State game, Cade Cunningham obviously had a really good performance, and Oklahoma State's just a really good team. With these COVID pauses, I mean, how difficult is that for Scott Drew to, with lack of practicing and things like that, try to keep any type of consistency going?
It's really, really hard. I mean, we had 3 of them ourselves this year. We had one stretch where we played 4 games in 48 days, and they rely so much on their defense to score off their defense to be good, and just watching them. And when you lose chemistry and you lose, just coming together, and because those are the things where you come and playing in rhythm, and you don't have a rhythm of playing. That's the thing I think that people take for granted. And when you're not out there practicing and playing over and over and over again, you talk about, hey, riding a bike. That's what you can't simulate, is the practice times and those kinds of things. And so hopefully, they've been able to practice and work some of those kinks out, because I promise you, this is the most they've been able to practice since they went on that COVID pause. Since they lost in Kansas City.
Well, and that's what both Jerome Tang and Scott Drew have told us as well. Kyle, when they were before the pause, their defense was it was airtight. You know that. And they had rotations down, and they've lost a little bit of that. Your thoughts, is it easy to get it back, or is it hard? Because they were playing as well defensively as they were with their explosive three-point shooting.
Well, to me, I think what they lost more than anything else is they sat around for a few weeks and they watched Kansas lose, they watched Texas lose, Texas Tech, and they won the league without even playing. So they lost the biggest factor I think that everybody loses is their edge. And so now everybody's in a one-game tournament, and now they're going to be desperate. And which I think they were leading up to their pause, is they were desperate. And I know Coach Drew well enough that those guys will be desperate. And I think that's what's going to help them as much as anything else, is they're going to have their edge back. And I know that they will be excited about playing. And not that they weren't excited about playing before, but they already won the league with 3 weeks left, not even playing. And I don't think you can simulate that. And that's, to me, what, if I was a Baylor fan, that's what I would be most excited about, is knowing that these kids will be desperate leading into this tournament in Indianapolis.
Gonzaga hasn't played, one of the higher ranked teams and since December. Do you think that'll hurt them, or based on how their bracket fell, all the teams that they beat are in that same bracket?
Yeah, it's hard. I say, hey, you can't beat a team 3 times, or I think it helps those teams that's beaten them. That they've beaten, because they've already have game film. Hey, this didn't work well against them. We need to change this. I mean, anytime you play somebody a second time, it helps you to play them again, having game film against them. So I would think the advantage goes to somebody that you get an edge wanting to beat an opponent the second time around. I would be excited if somebody beat me to have a chance to, take revenge or whatever as a coach, knowing what didn't work the first time and how to counterbalance that the second time I got a chance to play them. And they've been off forever. They're going to lose an edge, which they go to every year. I mean, they've had great teams and only made the Final Four one time.
Kyle, have you had a chance to watch UT much? Shaka had kind of, rough last few years, but they've had a, really good year this year. A lot of people I'm seeing in their brackets are starting to feel like UT could be an Elite Eight, even Final Four type of team, based on their pathway, I guess. But just what are your thoughts on Texas and the way they've been playing as of late?
Obviously they've played in 2 tournaments this year. They won both. So I would think their players and their staff are really confident. They won the Maui tournament, and that was relocated to North Carolina earlier in the year, and then they won in Kansas City. And I would think if I was in his shoes, I would tell this team, hey, we're undefeated in tournaments. We're going to go win us another, 3 tournaments, because they're all 2-game tournaments in the weekend, and try to breed as much confidence in that team as possible. And so I would think they're a confident bunch. And, they have some inside play, which I think you need to have, and they've got great perimeter players. And in college basketball, you have to have that. And that to me is the one, and I don't mean to regress and talk about Baylor, but that to me, if I had one concern with Baylor is, hey, we score in the paint versus some of these other elite teams that we got to beat in the NCAA tournament. So we're going to score at the rim.
You've known Mike Boynton. He was at SFA. Brad Underwood, obviously, now at Illinois, and they've got a team that, in fact, Baylor beat them, but they're playing incredible. But the job that Mike did at Oklahoma State, where you've been, and the history you have with that, Eddie Sutton and company. But, Kyle, the fact that they played and they never really knew if the NCAA would drop the hammer, and they played their way not only into the tournament, but they were playing fantastic to get into the tournament.
Did a great job this year, and I think it probably a lot like us in that just played free and had fun with them, and you could see the joy in their faces. And obviously, the last month or 6 weeks, they played as good or better than anybody in the country, and with a really, really hard schedule. But they shared the ball, and then obviously, maybe the best player, the best pro prospect, could make plays for him to win games, and he got better as the year went along, which was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, Cade Cunningham, special player, and but Mike did they played with great spirit and passion, and I think that's a team you got to beat versus they're going to beat themselves, and they'll be a hard out in the NCAA tournament, and where they got seeded, everybody's talking about them being underseeded, so it gives them a chip, to play with.
Kyle, how much do you think the bubble is a factor in who goes to win the tournament this year?
We started the year in Connecticut in a bubble, and then we got sent home because we had a positive test. And I know from our experience up there, it was no fun. I can't imagine what the NBA players went through. But, I mean, in talking to, like, Brad Underwood's already spent almost 2 weeks up there, now in the same place, in the same venue. And I can't imagine spending, 5 weeks or whatever, 4 weeks, what he's going to have to do. But they brought video games, couches, workout stuff, all kinds of things to make their players comfortable, in that setting to try to make it home. The baseball park next door, they've set that up for badminton, so kids can go outside and get some fresh air. I mean, it's crazy. We've all seen where the 6 officials got sent home. I mean, the sacrifices that these kids did this year to have a college basketball season has been remarkable. And, I think the sanity of the best teams that can make it through, you'll see. And I think, like you talk about Oklahoma State, the youth of Oklahoma State, that to me is something that could factor in the longer somebody stays into it, just because I think the more mature team you are, the better chance you have of continuing to move on.
Kyle, of the 4 number 1 seeds, Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, and Illinois, which one's the most vulnerable?
I think Michigan is not healthy, so I would say they were the most vulnerable because one of their best players is not going to be able to play. I would say Michigan right now.
Final question. Did you ever think you would get out of New Orleans?
That's a great question, Smokey. Golly, we were down there and got stuck. We left before the storm, the Snowpalooza or whatever, and our bus driver, we got a great bus driver and safety first, and thank gosh, but as long as there was ice and snow on the road down there, he was not leaving New Orleans. And they have I learned this about Louisiana, they have no ice services in that state. And there was a little bit of ice on I-10 or whatever, we were not moving. So we spent like 6 days down in New Orleans. And, that's a great vacation spot. But, man, we were down there during Mardi Gras, and they canceled Mardi Gras. And my wife, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, hey, she's like, I see where Mardi Gras is going on. I said, babe, they canceled it. There's nothing going on. And she's like, yeah, right. You're just and we got no electricity and no water, and Nacogdoches here, and she's, she's getting the fire going, and my kids are, all curled up together. She's sending me pictures of the bathtub being full of water that they have used that to flush the toilets. Fires running to keep the heat, and I'm sitting there sending her pictures of me sitting in the Marriott, with cable TV going, and I didn't get a lot of sympathy when I got home.
Oh, my gosh. I bet you didn't. Hey, man, I appreciate it. you know, the NCAA Final Four weekend is normally like a convention, right? It's like a coaches' convention. That's not going to be the case. Is that something that you'll miss and coaches all over the place will miss?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's a great place to fellowship. There's a lot of great things that go on with that. I remember my first one in 1990 and in Denver, Colorado, and I was overwhelmed with the lobby of coaches sitting in there. It was intimidating. And now you try to avoid it, especially as you become a head coach. You don't want people to say, hey, do you have a job? Do you have a job? And it's just amazing. And you know, last year I was supposed to do it was an honor for the second time to do a clinic for all the high school coaches and whoever go. You know, I look at that as an honor to be able to teach at one of those, because I used to, you know, look upon that as going to watch them and learn. And now I've been asked to teach at those. And then this year it's all through Zoom and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's disappointing not to be able to go and learn from others and that kind of stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. Safety first, right?
Hey, Kyle, my mother, who's a former Lady Jack mascot, wanted me to ask you your thoughts on the women being in the tournament. First appearance for them in quite some time.
Yeah, isn't it great? I mean, I was there Sunday. I went to the games, and Katie, I went and watched Coach Kellogg and his bunch, and cheered really, sat on the front row and cheered really hard. And Mark Kellogg, the head coach of the Lady Jacks, a really good friend of mine, and you know, was so thrilled for him because he's dominated really since he's been here and hadn't been able to break through. And with such a, you know, proud tradition, the program's won over 1,000 games and had so many great teams and great programs that come through here. And, you know, I read somewhere that the computers or whatever, a 60% chance for them, even though they're 12 seed, to upset Georgia Tech. They've had a phenomenal year, and they've got a great team. And I just hate that none of us can go down there and root for them in San Antonio. But they've been awesome, and I think they can win a bunch of games. But they pass and shoot as good as anybody. And on the women's side, they're so skilled. They're fun to watch.
Kyle, thank you as always for the insight, knowledge, and your friendship. Appreciate it. Sic'em Jacks, baby.
Sic'em Jacks. Thanks, Smokey. I appreciate you, man.
Kyle Keller, Stephen F. Austin men's basketball coach, who had to play this year knowing there was no postseason, not even the Southland tournament, and then, of course, now they're headed to the WAC. Now, when we come back, Jason King on Baylor and the NCAA tournament, a couple of 3 or 4 days since we had him, and also Paul's 5 for 555. This is SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
If you qualify for 4,000 3.9% DTL, extra CD for details. The 22-year anniversary sales event is going on now at Richard Carr. Make your refund or stimulus even bigger when you add savings like a 2019 Buick Encore for only $169 a month, a 2018 GMC Train for only $208 a month, a 2018 GMC Sierra for only $374 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. Get here now and save during the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
You wanted
to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Now we go live to coverage of the NCAA men's tournament in Indianapolis with Jason King of SicEm365.
All right, Jason King, SicEm365.com, thefieldof68.com with us. We're on the very close to the tournament starting. Jason, thank you very much. There were 3 or 4 things that you've mentioned, others have mentioned about what Baylor must tighten up or get better at since they ended the year. Of the ones, whether it's the defense rotations, their shooting, whatever, the turnovers, the bench, which one of them is the most important that must be better by the time they start the tournament?
Yeah, I think defensively is the one that stands out the most. That's the one area where they just kind of haven't really looked like the same team. That they look like before the pause. And I mean, when they're not playing defense at that high level, and also when the bench isn't really scoring like it had been, they all of a sudden look good but normal. In other words, they're still a strong team. They just don't jump out at you where, for a long time everyone was like, it's Gonzaga and Baylor and everyone else. Now I think once that defense isn't up there, all of a sudden kind of Baylor falls back into the pack a little bit. So at the same time, though, I'm encouraged. I think the last 4 or 5 days has probably been good for them. They've had a chance to, everyone talks about the practice time they're getting, but also just maybe some mental rest and some time to kind of regroup and refocus. And I just feel like they're going to come out like a team that's trying to make a case of Red Bulls, when they take the court on Friday. I think they're going to be raring to go.
Jason, that practice time's been mentioned a whole lot. But is that the case necessarily for Matthew Meyer and Adam Flagler, who do not have their offensive groove either?
Well, that's worrisome. Flagler is 4 of 27, I believe, in his last 6 games combined. From the field, one of 14 from 3 in that span. Meyer's missed 10 of his last 3-point attempts, and so with that, I think you worry a little bit about confidence and things of that sort. You just worry about where their minds are. Flagler specifically, when you think about how big of an offensive factor he was for this team, the first half of the season. And I don't know if you attribute that to rust or COVID or whatever. I just think that for whatever reason they don't have it all right now. But usually players that good, when they go into slumps, they don't stay in them very long. They're just too talented offensively and too good shooters to make that a month-long thing. So with guys like that, they just need to see some shots fall through the net, and I think they'll be okay.
So, Jason, we've highlighted a lot of Baylor's own issues that they themselves can iron out and need to iron out. But as you look through the bracket and through the region, I mean, I think most people feel pretty good about the Hartford game, but you still got to play it. But beyond that is
the post matchups probably your biggest concern with some of who they might play moving forward?
Yeah, and that's the one thing that jumps out is just how are they going to contend with, the size of guys that play at North Carolina, or if they had to play Purdue and they're big. But at the same time, man, it's like I was thinking about today. I think sometimes it's easy to be glass half empty in these situations, but the glass half full account. I mean, they've played good forwards this year. I mean, Derek Culver's a big time player. David McCormick's a behemoth. And Jericho Sims is an excellent player down low, or at least he has been this year. So, I mean, it's not like they haven't seen good bigs before, and they found a way to counter it. And so, I don't think they'll just be overwhelmed, but it is a factor without question, and that is the biggest concern. And the other thing is it's like I think Baylor fans and Baylor players themselves have to remember that just because Baylor's been dominant all year long, that there's good teams in this tournament. I mean, like it's not like they're incapable of losing to a 4, a 5, or a 6 seed at some point. I mean, that's they've got to come and play hard every day and play well every day to advance.
So the region itself, we kind of touched on this Monday, but now that you've kind of had a chance to digest it a little bit, Purdue with Matt Painter, obviously what North Carolina, Wisconsin, North Carolina, the blue blood, Wisconsin can dissect you, like you mentioned in was it Anaheim when they did that?
That was Wisconsin,
yeah. Wisconsin, yeah. So which of those teams that are in their upper part of the bracket are the one, and of course there's obviously, there's Villanova. Which one is the one you're concerned about on the upper part of that, other than just the first one because you got to beat Hartford first?
I would probably go back to North Carolina, and for several reasons. One, the personnel, which we've already talked about, and which they're big, and then they have a lot of NBA talent on that team, And the other thing is, I just think that's the game where you worry, like, where is Baylor going to be mentally? I mean, for 2 years now, we've talked about how good the team is, how they're a national title contender. This could be or this could be the year they finally make the Final Four, whatever. And it's like now all of a sudden, you get your Hartford game out of the way. Now here, it all comes down to like this big moment against a blue blood like Carolina and a Hall of Fame coach, good bigs, and the pressure's on. You know what I mean? It's like at least get past the first weekend, and it's like, are they gonna have the yips? Are they gonna have the jitters? So I think those kind of factors are other things to think about going into that game besides just, North Carolina's really big. It's like, is Baylor going to come out with that presence and that alpha dog mentality that we've seen from them all year, or in that moment, are they going to flounder, or are they going to flourish? When the lights are the brightest, the stage is the biggest, and as good as they've been in the regular season for 2 years, we haven't seen how they're going to do under that spotlight just yet.
Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua, I mean, it's not about offense with him really, because whatever he gives you is kind of bonus. But do you think his issue has been just coming back from COVID? Because he's not running, I said earlier in the show, it's like he's running gassers the whole time, and nobody told him he had to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I think the COVID probably hit him harder than anyone, at least from what I've heard. And the other thing is, guys, I mean, I got to remind myself of this. Every time, you kind of get frustrated with displays, just keep in mind how new he is to the game and how little of actual competition he's played. And now he's having to do it at a high level against some of the top players in the country. And he just might not be up to par with some of these guys quite yet. And that's not to say he's not going to get there and even surpass a lot of the level of guys he's playing against right now. But, there's a lot of good players out there. I mean, some of these Oklahoma State players he's going against, the Payne and Kansas. I mean, these are guys that are juniors and seniors that have been playing high-level AAU basketball since they were 9 years old. So I just think John's just got to get a lot better, and he obviously has the athleticism and the work ethic to do it. It's just a lot of it's just a matter of getting the reps in, and I think he probably thrived on a lot of his energy and early on in the year, and maybe teams that didn't know much about him, but now it's caught up to him a little bit, and he's tapered off a bit. But hopefully things will turn around here this week.
Jason, we just had Kyle Keller on, and he mentioned that perhaps Baylor, since the loss to Oklahoma State, they've had these practices. One thing that they may have lost as well was that edge, that swagger. Mm-hmm. Not that they can't, but he thinks that they are experienced enough where that is something that they're also rebuilding or getting that back. If they got off to a decent start, even if it's Hartford, just go play like you look like you're a number one seed. How much would that help?
See, I think he hit the nail on the head with that. I agree. If they sometimes it feels like they lost it a bit, and B, I feel like this break is what has enabled them to get it back. You know, sitting around talking, having team meetings, having good spirited practices, and just feeling good about themselves again, and remembering who they are. I think they'll just come out on fire Friday, and I don't mean just for making shots. I just mean like their spirit and their spunk, and but I'm really looking forward to seeing the most. And you know, and again, it's one thing to look great against Harvard, but let's see that carry over to the North Carolina or Wisconsin game, and I think it will.
Thank you, Jason King.
Okay,
Sic'em365.com and thefield68.com as well. Now, Paul's 5 at 5:55.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Now, while I do maintain that this is a silly fake holiday, not unlike Halloween, I did think I'd theme up today because it is St. Patrick's Day and it's all about the luck of the Irish. And so
luck of the Irish. Like the most more false term. There can't be one.
Yeah. I mean, their whole country was wiped out by a potato famine in the 1800s. That's not very lucky.
The Irish have had no luck.
Yeah, that's not
the Irish have had no luck.
Russet or red bee?
I don't know what kind of potatoes they grow in Ireland. Potatoes. Okay. But, yeah. So, anyway, but the luckiest plays, top 5 luckiest plays, and I realize that 4 of these are NFL plays, but really when I came down to it, breaking it down, it's just how it came out. Number 5, David Tyree, who we've had on this show, was great. We had him on the show last year. Pretty darn lucky player right there.
Yeah, that was I think I was actually maybe rooting for the Patriots in that game, which I know people like scoff at, but
don't you want to see an undefeated team?
I wanted to see it, and I wanted to see, and I wasn't a big fan in any way, shape, or form of anything to do with the Giants, so I didn't really want to see them win one. But yeah, that didn't break my heart like it broke Patriots fans' hearts, but that was a pretty incredible play.
I don't know if that game was in Arizona, where it was, but I do remember I was at the game because I was able to go to a bunch in a row. And I remember that play sitting up in the second. It might have been. I don't know. Maybe it been. But I remember watching that play from where I was and like, damn.
No, Indy was the next one.
Eli scrambled. The part of that play, Tyree's catch is one thing. Rodney Harrison trying to pop it loose. It was Eli was sacked 4 times on that play. And somehow, and he's not the most mobile, he found a way to get that pass off. It was incredible.
All right. Number 4, and this is dedicated to Jack, who did these graphics. This ridiculous Antonio Freeman catch against the Vikings on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, are you sucking up to Jack here?
No, I mean, just thought he would. I just thought he'd,
But is that luck? Well, why is that luck? I thought it was skill.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's lucky that the defender didn't even touch him.
No, okay.
I mean, like he didn't even touch him, and then he just got to stand up and he's laying on the ground. All the guy has to do just is that right there. That's it, and it's over.
Or even if you kick him accidentally with your foot. Which, All right, okay.
All right, number 3, the Music City Miracle, Frank Wycheck. Actually a very popular sports radio talk show host in Nashville. But Frank Wycheck threw the ball back to Kevin Dyson. Lucky in a lot of regards in that if instant replay, I don't know if it's, I mean, you could have overturned this thing. I don't think it was then back in the game then, but such a wild play that could have gone, hey, that's the only way it could have worked, and the Music City Miracle.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy play, and no, there's still arguments about whether or not it was a forward pass or not, but no, they didn't have the replay to overturn it, and yeah, it was a crazy moment that I remember watching live for sure.
Yeah.
Instant replay, and these are some timelines. I don't have time to read through it because instant replay, 1985 to 1992, they tested it with some preseason games. I'm not sure when it started, but you're right. You make a good point. I don't know if it was going on at that time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they would have overturned it, although most likely they would have.
All right, number 2, the only non-football one on this list, Jeffrey Meyer and Derek Jeter. Little turd. I mean, this is the Orioles, but still.
Who's the turd?
Not Derek Jeter. I mean, look, I respect Derek Jeter in all parts of his life except for the pinstripes, but Jeffrey Meyer, the little kid who, ruined poor Tony Tarasco, the right fielder's life. This game's going to be over. He's catching the ball. And here,
I remember looking at an angle. I don't know if he makes the catch.
I mean, the kid is leaned full over the wall.
I know, but I think at the angle might have been a little bit more difficult from where Tarasco was. But, yeah, that's crazy. It's intervention.
Well,
It's Yankee magic.
One thing to make sure he doesn't make the catch is, 2 adults and a kid and several other people reaching their arms over. I mean, I don't care what the trajectory was.
Yeah, it wasn't like it's 10 rows deep. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
absolutely. All right, and number 1, the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah. That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question.
Franco Harris, in an interview that I did with him at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, in Miami, was asked straight up and down, was this a catch? And he said, is there instant replay? He said, no. Then it's absolutely a catch.
Yeah.
So he won't even really say it, or he'll say it different ways. But, yeah, the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, that was nuts. I think I was in Japan at the time, and I remember, hearing it and then reading about it, and then I went to the NFL Films at the theater that next weekend. Yeah, that's still to this day. Because the ricochets, that alone was crazy.
Well, because people don't know if it's actually a play that should have counted.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that play should never have occurred the way that it did, and instead it's a legendary play in NFL history, and it might have well been illegal, the entire play. So, yeah, if I was Franco Harris, I would just say, no, it was good on my end because he knows. He absolutely knows.
He likes building the legend of it.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about Franco Harris if not for that play? No. I mean, we're bringing him up in like a broader conversation about like an all-timer thing. But the only reason anybody that's not like a Steelers fan would bring up Franco Harris is because of this play. I mean, really. And you're not talking about him, I don't think, in any conversation really individually as a player. Unless you're talking about this play. So, yeah, he knows, and he can kind of get that sly smile and a wink because it worked out for him, and definitely luck was involved because how else do you explain it but just being lucky enough that the officials, called what they did or didn't call what they did.
You wonder, they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. A lot of times, you see that it's like when the Americans beat Russia in hockey, you thought that was the gold medal game. They had to still beat Finland. That was the year I think Miami ran the table. But Pittsburgh, that may have started and catapulted them to where they had that swagger the rest of the decade.
Well, and I don't know this, and I don't really care, but has any team like had more heartbreaking type of just singular plays or moments in the Raiders franchise?
Oh, like the tuck rule.
The Immaculate Reception, the tuck rule. I mean, I'm sure there are others that I'm not thinking about right now, but
they were the team that the Cowboys of the 60s, the Raiders of the 70s that couldn't quite get there. They did win one with Madden, but yeah, they always seemed like they fell short. But yeah.
I'll tell you one that you're missing.
Which was the one, but they actually had one when Dave Casper kicked the.
What's the one I'm missing
from the list? I think the miracle at Jordan Hare, which was 2013 Auburn, Georgia, when they're at their own 25, 4th and 18 with 30 seconds left, down one, and he launches the ball and it bounces off the Georgia receiver's hands and just falls in the Auburn guy's hand. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
It was unbelievable.
How about the kick? The
kick six.
The kick six. Auburn.
The kick six is almost more just planned well. It's not necessarily lucky.
It's planned well by Auburn.
Well,
it wasn't
Jordan
by
Hare
Alabama.
one was just fell.
Well, they got lucky that Saban kicked a field goal.
Yeah, that's true.
In some way, but yeah, that miracle at Jordan Hare still is like I could watch that replay a billion times from every angle.
Yeah, you're right.
I should have gotten the committee together on that one.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate it. Tomorrow, much more to get to, including Boise State Athletic Director Jeremiah Dickey will join us. Armstrong Sims for Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.